In the beginning, there was you. Perfect, powerful, obedient you, a faithful tool of your faultless Father. Shortly after the beginning, there was also them. But this isn't about them. This is about you. It's also about them. It didn't have to be, but you just couldn't help yourself. Could you? Hello, my name is Haley Whipjack, and today I bring you Castiel is the only character in Supernatural. What does that mean? Walk with me for a second. Let's start with the very basics. What is Supernatural, and why do we care? Supernatural is a television show that aired for 15 seasons on the CW, everybody's favorite network, from 2005 to 2020. It was created by Eric Kripke, who's since gone on to showrun Amazon Prime's The Boys, and it starred Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, and most importantly for our purposes, Misha Collins. Jensen and Jared played Dean and Sam Winchester, brothers who travel the United States to hunt various ghosts and ghoulies and monsters as a continuation of their father John Winchester's life work and family business. It's such a basic premise when you say it like that, isn't it? It gets unbasic pretty quickly, especially with introduction of characters like Misha Collins's Castiel. Supernatural is a mess, it's a tragedy, it's an absolute masterpiece, and it never would have gotten as wild as it did or found as long-lasting of an audience as it did if it were not for one character. Guess which character? Yeah, it's Castiel. This angel, literally, I'm not just fawning over him, shows up in season 4 and changes the entire game. Not that you need to worry about what the game was like before him, because we won't be discussing that. Because Castiel is the only character in Supernatural. We are going to go through Castiel's entire storyline, from its beautiful beginning to its sordid end, and only Castiel's storyline. That means I'm going to be watching every episode where Castiel physically appears, which is 134 episodes of Supernatural. I'm going to be made of flannel by the end of this. And I kind of can't wait. He was originally going to be in 6 episodes, mind you. 6. And then he was in 134. That is his impact. That is his power. I don't know if I'm going to have a great grasp on the actual plot of the show by the end of this, but I am going to be the expert on Castiel's suffering. Specifically, he is the show's favorite punching bag. Man gets no peace. We're going to be tracking a couple of things. Castiel's mission as it evolves, his allies and his enemies as they change and swap places. We'll also have to keep track of whose body he's in, because how he's a mythical creature, and who's using the human's body that he initially stole at some point. That's going to be a later on sort of problem. We are going to talk about fate, about humanity, about power, about the intricate rituals. We're going to talk about an angel, and we're going to talk about a man. Let's begin, but where else? At the beginning. Cass's beginning. That is, because he's not in season 1, so we aren't starting at the actual start. You understand. The craziest part of this whole thing is that Castiel is not even my favorite character. I'm what those in the biz call a Dean girl. So I care about Cass so much. Castiel's story begins with a mission. He has to save a man from hell. This man is named Dean Winchester, and he is in hell because he made a deal with a demon to resurrect his younger brother, Sam. This man is very important. He is needed for a greater plan. Castiel's superiors are very insistent on this, because actually the overarching mission that Castiel is a part of is to save the world. The apocalypse is looming at the hands of the demon Lilith. She is determined to break 66 seals that will then release Lucifer himself from his cage where he has been trapped for millennia by the other angels. You know Lucifer, like the devil. That one. There are hundreds of possible seals that could free Lucifer. Only 66 need to be broken. But one specific one does need to be broken first and last. But let's talk about the first one first. A righteous man must spill blood in hell. And the angels have a pretty good guess on who that righteous man is meant to be. So Castiel travels through hell and finds Dean Winchester. And Dean Winchester is torturing other souls, not happily. He spent 30 years on the rack in the torture realm, in the torture dimension, and he finally broke and accepted an offer from his tormentor, a demon called Alistair, to stop the pain. Dean doesn't have to get tortured anymore. If he would only inflict the torture upon others. And then he spent 10 hell years tormenting those other souls by the time Cass got there. Terrible news, Castiel. Your righteous man in hell has already spilt a lot of blood. First seal broken. But you don't really need him for anything else. You could probably just leave him here in the torture dimension. No? Okay. Castiel grips Dean's soul and raises him back to Earth, dropping him right back into his existing body, which is, of course, buried 6 feet underground. Not sure what the thought process was there, but he leaves his righteous man to dig himself out of his own grave, Castiel's handprint seared onto his skin where the angel held him tight. This is where we're going to pause to talk about allies and enemies that Castiel has at the moment. Because obviously for allies, you got the angels in heaven, all of them. Cass is on team every angel. But we waited until right now because also on allies over here, Dean Winchester, big one. Oh, and don't worry about this section down here at the bottom. We'll get to that if we ever get to it. Dean figures out who it was that brought him back to life. I guess the good news is that those 40 years in hell, 40 hell years, only equates to 4 real-life Earth months. So he didn't miss too much. He's still got his existing support network that he could use to figure all this information out. And he tries to contact Castiel. But Castiel is not easily contactable in angel form. He comes through as radio static. He accidentally burns out a psychic's eyes when she sees him as just his essence. Eventually, Dean confronts Castiel in a barn, in a human body, in the most iconic character introduction in television history to me. The barn scene is everything to me. I'm the one who gripped you tight and raised you from perdition. Hell yes. Yes, you are. Dean did this with the help of his better dad, Bobby Singer. Dean's real dad is a whole other can of worms. Not Cass's problem right now, so it's not our problem right now, but I needed you to hear Bobby Singer's name. I love that man. In this barn, Castiel has a body. He needs one, right? To talk to Dean and other human beings, not burning out anyone else's eyeballs. A body is very important if you're doing business on Earth. Most people have them, but he has to borrow a body. He has to use a vessel. His is called Jimmy Novak. Jimmy Novak is a very religious man that Castiel was giving, I want to call it religious psychosis, but it wasn't religious psychosis because Jimmy really was talking to an angel, but his wife and daughter didn't know that. Angels need permission from a human to take them as their vessel. Unlike demons, that's very important. A demon can just get in ya without so much as a how do you do. An angel needs an explicit yes. Jimmy let Cass walk his meat suit around in a trench coat for his various crusades. He's allowing him to do that. So yes, the angel has a body, and he meets his specialist boy in a random Midwestern barn in it, all dressed up for the occasion. Dean stabs Castiel through the chest with a fancy monster hunting knife, but it doesn't hurt angels. Boys have never met an angel before. They don't even think angels are real. So Castiel very calmly pulls the knife out of his flesh body, and gives Dean the briefest possible explanation here. Yeah, Cass is an angel. Angels are real. He gripped Dean tight and raised him from perdition. He saved Dean because Dean deserves to be saved, and there's a greater purpose to be fulfilled. And then he skedaddles on his way to go try and stop the apocalypse. Like, righteous man Dean Winchester is very important, yes, but also apocalypse. 66 seals. There's a job to do here. Dean is also trying to stop the apocalypse. Huge. Thank you, righteous man. He is traveling with Sam, his little brother that he sold his soul for in the first place. That one. Little brother. The man is like 7 feet tall, but you know, he's younger than Dean. Sam has a little side problem, which is that he keeps drinking the blood of his demon girlfriend and getting demon powers from it. This only matters to Castiel at this point, and therefore to us, because that is gross and makes Sam pretty gross. Demons and angels are not friends. We don't trust Sam Winchester. That's a demon boy. Is he an ally? Yes, on account of him trying to stop the apocalypse. On the other hand, though, demon boy. Dean gets all huffy that Castiel and the angels aren't able to stop all the world's suffering that he's seeing. So Castiel has to give a little speech about angels being warriors, not helpful little guides sitting on your shoulder, that they're an army, they're soldiers, they deserve respect. Also, he threatens to throw Dean back into hell if Mr. Righteous Man misbehaves. Shortly after that conversation, where he threatens to return Dean to the torture dimension, he wakes Dean up by sitting in bed with him, mixed signals, and then time travels him into the past. He does this so that Dean can watch his parents, pre-having children, his parents as young adults, have a very bad day. Dean was raised by his father, John, his worst dad, to hunt monsters, to hunt the supernatural, after his mother, Mary, was killed by a demon. But in the past, here in this, it's not a flashback because it's happening to Dean currently. Here in this time hole, Dean learns that his mother was raised to be a hunter. She was raised to hunt these monsters, and his dad used to be a real sweet, naive kid. Cass tells Dean, you have to stop it. So Dean is ready to stop any monsters here. That's kind of what he does, but he doesn't get to. Mary's parents, so Dean's maternal grandparents, get killed by a demon, Azazel. John, Dean's father, gets killed by the same demon, but then Mary makes a deal to get John back. Doesn't get her parents back, but gets John back. Mary swears off of hunting forever, leaves the life behind, but it does not leave her, because that demon that she made a deal with corrupted her future son Sam and killed Mary in the process, kickstarting Dean's terrible life on the road hunting monsters, raising his younger brother, and idolizing his father. Haley, I thought this video was about Castiel. It is. It is. Cass brought Dean back to this time hole, knowing that Dean could not stop anything, but that Dean would still be hoping he could. He wants to save the world. He wants to fix stuff, but that's not how the past works. Cass brought him here to let Dean know the truth about what happened to Sam, that it was a demon deal, that it was his mom, that Sam was like always gonna go down this route, that the demons had him from a very young age. And he also gives Dean the address on where to find Sam, who's currently squirreled away. Sam is squirreled away at the moment in the present, not in the time hole, doing demon blood things. Cass again tells Dean he has to stop it. The it that he needs Dean to stop is the demon blood thing. Or else Cass or another angel's going to have to step in and stop it for him. And it's not going to end pretty because, again, that's a demon boy. A little while later, Cass finally meets Sam for real. He's been doing all of this without ever having actually met the man. And he brings his boss, Uriel, along. Uriel's not kind, not a good angel. Sam is so excited to meet a real-life angel. He wants to believe in the inherent goodness of the universe so bad. And Cass is real awkward about it. He does not want to meet Sam at all. Our Winchester boys are on a hunt to find and kill a witch who's going to break one of them seals that'll start the apocalypse, but they're taking too long. They're not gonna get to the seal in time. Castiel and Uriel are here to smite the whole town, purify the city. Cass is really apologetic about that. He knows that's not the ideal. Uriel seems a little stoked. The angels just cannot risk the seal breaking. A lot of seals have already been breaking, and there's an apocalypse on. Dean calls Cass a hammer. It's unable to question orders, and Castiel demands they have faith and starts, comparing their daddy issues. Dean has a lot of daddy issues. Castiel also has a lot of daddy issues on account of his father being God, who has not been seen or heard from in some time. And Dean's dad died a couple seasons ago. So Dean decides when he hears that the angels are going to explode the whole place, he's not going to leave town. He's not going to leave town. If they want to blow it up, they're going to have to blow it up with Dean inside. He's gambling that he's too valuable to their supreme boss, that he's more valuable than this whole town, basically. So the angels don't blow up the city. They let Sam and Dean try. And Sam and Dean fail. They don't stop the seal breaking. It breaks. And Sam uses a lot of demon blood power to help. There's a series of no good. But Castiel is very happy that 1,000+ people didn't die, because actually, he and Uriel were there to just do whatever Dean said. Test their righteous man in battlefield conditions. Castiel loves humanity, and he isn't a hammer. He has been questioning his orders lately, doubting if there's a true right and wrong, if there is an objective truth. You may have noticed it so far. A lot of what Cass is up to is just sort of hovering around Dean Winchester. This is a pattern his life will be following for quite some time. The next order that Cass is given to fulfill is to accompany his boss, very nice man Uriel, in capturing and killing Anna, a fallen angel who does not remember that she's a fallen angel. She does not remember being anything but a confused human girl. That mission goes incredibly poorly. Castiel, you don't do a good job on that one. It ends up with Dean sleeping with Anna in his car, Anna stealing her grace, her angelic essence and true power. What angels are without the meat suits. She steals it back from Uriel because Uriel was just wearing it as a necklace. Feels incredibly rude to wear somebody's soul as a necklace. Okay, and there's a surprise angel v demon fight in a warehouse. And at the end of it, Anna's a full, big, powerful angel again. Cass failed his job. Uriel's furious. Nobody's having a good day. You'd think when you're trying to stop the apocalypse and you're getting your orders directly from the upper echelons of heaven, you'd maybe be able to catch a break once or twice. Castiel does find out about a seal that is going to be broken by Alistair, the demon that tortured Dean in hell and then taught Dean how to do the torturing. He's a really cool guy. Alistair has to kill Death twice to break the seal he's going after, which here means he is going to kidnap and kill 2 Reapers, like Grim Reapers. Cass knows the Winchesters can handle that one, but instead of tipping them off directly and just asking them to take care of it, he pretends to be Bobby Singer, their cool dad, their better dad, and tells them there's word on the street about a little town where people have stopped dying, calling them as Bobby Singer on the phone. Giving them a fun little rumor he heard. Because Castiel has already learned that the Winchester boys have this issue where they just kind of want to do the opposite of whatever Cass says. And if Cass told them directly, they might put up a weird amount of fight about it. And I say that's a Winchester boy issue. That's mostly a Dean issue. Sam is a very good boy. He's just got that blood problem. Everything continues to be terrible for Cass anyway. Someone is going around killing angels. And Uriel has decided they're going to ask a wild favor of Dean Winchester. The angels have Alistair captured, and Uriel wants him interrogated, tortured, so they can learn the real plan here. Or whatever. Get Alistair to explain who's behind the angel murders. Or hurt him until he just says he's the one who did it. That's what normally happens in those things. IRL, whatever. And who better to interrogate, torture, the demon than his own protege? Castiel hates this plan. But what else is there to do other than go with what his boss says? So they set a determined and miserable Dean on his teacher. Castiel doesn't even stick around in the warehouse while Dean is doing this. He leaves to meet up with Anna, who has recreated her human body because she liked it, so she looks the same. I guess she doesn't need a vessel, fine. And she asks what he thinks he's doing, why he's condoning this terrible plan. He's trying so hard to not question his orders, even when his cool older sister says they could work together. They could be a team. Cass is just like her, which is very scary to hear. Of course, he doesn't want to be like her. She's literally a fallen angel. He tells her to go away, and she does, because she's very respectful like that. In the torture warehouse room, Alistair escapes his bindings after telling Dean that Dean was the first seal, because the angels weren't letting that one slip. This is how Dean finds out. Cool. Cassie maybe would have wanted to tell him ahead of time so he could hear it from like a person he sort of trusts in a safe space, but that's fine. Castiel arrives back to the warehouse to the demon beating the absolute shit out of his righteous man. And then Alistair starts to go ham on Castiel. Before Alistair can banish Cass back to heaven, because that's what he wants to do, is send Cass away, Demon Blood Boy himself, Sam Winchester, busts in and kills Alistair for good with his Demon Blood Boy powers. Also, he gets Alistair to admit that he actually has no idea who's killing all them angels. It's not him. It's not Lilith. He don't know who it is. And now he's dead, so now things are even worse for Cass. Dean's in the hospital. Anna won't tell him what to do because she says he finally has to think for himself, even when he asked her very nicely. And Uriel says he's received orders to stop hunting down demons. So now he doesn't have any job? And it turns out Uriel doesn't even actually want to stop the apocalypse. He's a traitor to the cause. He's with a sect of angels. I say sect of angels, it's pretty much most of the angels, who absolutely hate humanity. They want their long-banished brother Lucifer freed from that cage he's in. He's the one who helped Alistair get out of that demon trap. Uriel did that. He set a little faucet to slowly leak so the water would erode away the demon trapping sigils that they'd chalked out onto the floor. It's a good way to sabotage. He's a smart boy, Uriel. And he did that. He freed Alistair slowly over time to hopefully get Dean out of the equation for good. He was hoping Alistair would take Dean out. Uriel tells Castiel that only angels can kill other angels. And also that there's no God anymore. Deeply upsetting things to say to basically your little brother. Cass is all of these people's little brother, as far as I'm concerned. It was Uriel killing all those angels, yeah, with his special angel blade. Cass will not join Uriel's side. Castiel rather likes those human guys, so they do a big fist fight, which Cass is not very good at, and would have 100% lost if Anna didn't burst in and murder his opponent for him. What a nice big sister. Goodbye, Uriel. Cass tells Dean the truth about Uriel while his righteous man is laid up in the hospital, and Dean begs Cass to find someone else to do this job instead. But the righteous man must start it, and the righteous man must end it. Neither of them know what the hell that means, but it sounds true. So I guess we'll update our allies and enemies here. All angels? Not so much. No. One angel, her name's Anna. We like her. She's on our team. And down in enemies, we'll put most angels, I think. Okay. So there's this guy named Chuck. And he's writing books about Sam and Dean Winchester. And they're called Supernatural. If you didn't know this was a part of the TV show Supernatural, I'm so sorry to be the one to have to explain to you that in the universe of Supernatural, there is a Supernatural fandom because there's a man named Chuck writing books about the main characters. Okay. The boys don't love this. The Winchester boys would love to confront this guy and figure him out. But Castiel gets to break the news that Chuck Shirley is a literal prophet of the Lord, protected by archangels. So when he starts writing in his little books about Sam confronting Lilith and also making out with Lilith very soon, that's a problem. That's an issue because prophets can't be wrong. That's the divine word. Dean really doesn't want his little brother to confront an ultra-powerful demon bent on the apocalypse. He would like to avoid this Lilith makeout sesh that the prophet of the Lord has prophesied. So he prays to Castiel for help. Because that he can contact Cass like that, he can pray. But Castiel cannot help directly. He can't meddle with prophets, and he certainly can't fuck with archangels that protect the prophets. But he does tell Dean, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that if someone were to directly threaten a prophet, that prophet's archangel protector would have to intervene. And being near an ultra-powerful demon bent on the apocalypse would be pretty dangerous. It's a good plan. And it works. Lilith flees the scene where she's making out with Sam to avoid fighting an archangel. And all they had to do was put Chuck in the same room as her. And Chuck's fine. He doesn't even get hurt. And Cass is probably preening somewhere about how good a job he did without breaking any rules. Malicious compliance, they call that. Jesus, Chuck Shirley. I can't get into him right now, obviously, because we're not here for him. We're here for Cass. He doesn't matter to Cass that much right now, but just know, I hate that guy. So, heaven is an issue. They're being a real problem. Castiel takes great pains to appear to Dean in his dreams, warning him that anyone could be listening. Even here, even in Dean's head, they are not safe. But before Cass can say what he really wants to say here, he is whisked away by heaven. He does manage to give Dean an address, asking him to meet him there, but the rest of his message is unavailable. Dean will not be meeting Castiel at that address. He will be meeting Jimmy Novak, because Castiel is gone. He has been sent to what Dean calls Bible camp. We're left to fill in our own details about how that goes, but I think based on the stuff that happens next, you can guess how Bible camp went. Castiel was going to tell Dean something incredibly important. There is a final seal that must be broken. Remember, there's a specific first seal, there's a specific last seal. The very last seal, the 66th thing that must happen to free Lucifer, is that Lilith, the demon going around breaking all the seals, must die. The demon the boys really want to kill, because they know that only Lilith is capable of breaking the last seal. They just don't know what that means. She's gonna die. And that'll let Lucifer out. Heaven doesn't want him to pass along that message, because heaven's on Team Free Lucifer. Castiel is not in Bible camp for long, because while he's in attendance of service, Jimmy Novak prays to him for protection, and he's summoned away, back to Earth. Cass's favorite meat suit is having a very bad day. There are demons beset upon him and his family. There's a demon possessing his wife. Jimmy Novak is bleeding out on the floor from a fatal injury. Bad news bears. Castiel possesses Claire Novak, Jimmy's young daughter, and is ready to go about the rest of his life as an 8-year-old girl, secure in the knowledge that at least he can protect Jimmy's family, even if he did fail to protect Jimmy himself. He takes care of all the demons. He frees Jimmy's wife from possession, watches Sam drink demon blood, forcing him to remember he's here helping out Demon Blood Boy. Jimmy, dying, pleads for Cass to come back, get back in here, possess me instead. Let Claire go. Let my daughter go. Jimmy accepts Cass's premise that he will never die, he will never age, never be himself again, never see his family again. He accepts it gratefully, knowing that his daughter will be free, and he was gonna die without an angel in him anyway. There's not a lot of great options here. Also, so important, Castiel did not choose the little girl for no reason. Blood is important to angels. Like, there's something special about Jimmy that makes him a good angel vessel. It's in him, it's in his blood, and then he gave that ability to his daughter Claire. So the child was another good option for genetic reasons. Castiel does as Jimmy asks. He likes Jimmy, and he feels terrible, one has to imagine, that he's done this to him. Looking once again like a grown man, Castiel tells the Winchester brothers that he does not serve them. He's not on their team. He supports heaven, and only heaven, and he leaves. So we can assume Bible camp was really good. A very positive experience. So what's happening with allies and enemies here then? What's going on? We're on team heaven now? And Sam and Dean have both been removed? Don't worry. Dean prays to Castiel later, and he swears himself to the side of heaven, the service of God and the angels. He needs their help to kill Lilith, because Sam is only strong enough to do it if he keeps drinking demon blood by the gallon, and Dean's really trying to get his little brother to stop doing that. Is Cass's vessel still Jimmy Novak if Jimmy Novak basically died? Also, I didn't change it to Claire while he was Claire for a second, but it's because I felt like I would have had to change the picture if I did that, and I didn't want to. He was only Claire for like 30 seconds, so. Is James still in there? Back to more pressing issues, Dean has Sam locked in a panic room, forcing him to detox and go through demon blood withdrawals. But when Dean prayed to Cass and summoned him for a little conversation where Dean swore himself to heaven, before Cass goes, he unlocks the door to the panic room and opens the door, releasing Demon Boy onto the world. Anna visits him after, expressing some, I think, understandable concerns, but Castiel just keeps her talking long enough for two other angels to appear and snatch her away, putting her back in angel captivity. Castiel doesn't seem happy about literally any part of this. Every single day he experiences is worse than the last. Now that Uriel's gone, it seems Cass's new boss is Zachariah, another guy who's terrible to be around. Or at the very least, that's the most powerful angel that's kind of dragging Cass around for various tasks. The current task is keep Dean Winchester sealed away in a safe little demi-plane while the last seal is broken so that Dean can't stop that from happening and the apocalypse can go. So is Cass on Team Free Lucifer now? Is the mission no longer stop the apocalypse? Is his mission start the apocalypse? He was so anti-Team Lucifer before. Shh! We're getting there. Cass is left to listen to his righteous man pleading for help, begging him to understand that what the angels want is wrong, demanding he gets released to save his brother. Cass stays strong in the face of all this, because he is a stronger man than I, until Cass draws a sigil in his own blood, waiting for Zachariah to reappear before slamming his hand in the middle to complete it. It's so hot. It's an angel banishing sigil, ensuring that Zachariah is sent back to heaven and Dean will not be disturbed once Cass brings him out of here. That's right, baby. He's been on Team Righteous Man the whole time. Bible camp doesn't have shit on my guy Cass. He is also finally able to tell Dean about the whole Lilith dying will kickstart the apocalypse thing. We're all on the same page. So now we have to get to Sam and stop him, because Sam is about to go get that lady, because he doesn't know. To do this, they go ask Chuck the Prophet where he has foreseen Sam to be. At a convent where he will meet Lilith. But being visited by Cass and Dean was not on Chuck's radar, because they're not supposed to be here. And they're not supposed to be at that convent. So the prophecies are wrong. They stopped Chuck from ordering a bunch of strippers. That's how he wanted to spend his final night pre-apocalypse. Chuck is a really cool and normal guy. I added Chuck to allies. I don't know where Sam would technically go right now. Like, I guess allies probably, but also Sam is very much working against their interests, even if he wouldn't be if he knew the whole truth, you know? But remember about Chuck, that's a prophet, protected from all threats by an archangel, and someone has decided that Dean and Cass are a threat. An archangel is coming, and there's no time. Castiel sends Dean alone to that convent where Sam is, staying back with Chuck to handle what he can, trusting that his righteous man has got this. Castiel doesn't know it, because he isn't there, but all of that wasn't enough in the end. The archangel arrives and blows Castiel to pieces. Dean is too late, Sam kills Lilith, and Lucifer is free. Okay, so Castiel is dead, and the apocalypse has been triggered. Now what, gang? Welcome to Season 5. Castiel is actually alive. I tricked you before. Except I didn't. He did die. God just resurrected him. The God that he's never met and no one has heard from in a long time. Just sort of, boop, brought him back. And freshly alive, Castiel zips off to go save his Winchester boys from Zachariah. Because Zachariah is giving them cancer and stealing their lungs to make a point. But obviously Castiel being back, being alive, is very scary in its implications. So Zachariah plays nice, puts Sam and Dean back to rights before fucking off. Castiel also magically carves a bunch of runes into Sam and Dean's ribs, divinely etches runes into their bones in the ancient angelic language of Enochian, and these runes will hide them from all angels forever. Hello, Hermes. The boys already have anti-demon or anti-demonic possession tattoos, so this is actually filling in a major gap in their defenses. But now the Winchesters are hidden from angels, and Castiel is an angel, so he can't just find them. He has to do things like call them on their phone to ask where they are. And where they are, in this instance, is a hospital. Their cool dad, Bobby, is injured and in a wheelchair. But Cass has been a little bit cut off from heaven. He's weaker than before, so he cannot heal Bobby. No biblical miracles for cool dad. Not today. And the boys get all testy about it, so Castiel has to remind them that he's not the one who ruined the whole world, okay? But he is the one being hunted by his entire species and cut off from the powers he's had for his whole existence. So if we're gonna judge who's having the worst day, so no, Castiel's not here to heal Bobby. He is here to take Dean's necklace, a necklace that was originally a gift from Sam when they were children. It is a little amulet that will supposedly burn hot in God's presence. And that is Castiel's new mission, ladies and gentlemen, is to find God and ask him to please stop the apocalypse. Should be easy enough. The world is ending. No one's heard from God in a long time. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are running around now too. Everything is just a big mess. The only silver lining, the only good news, is that Castiel knows exactly who's going to help him track down God. He needs an archangel. And the archangel he's going for is Raphael. Raphael is actually the archangel that protects Chuck, the prophet, my favorite character in the series. Chuck Shirley. Raphael's going to help him track down God. Castiel also has the perfect guy to help him track down Raphael, his righteous man. No one will hurt the righteous man because Dean is needed by Archangel Michael. Why? Because Michael wants to wear Dean like a jacket. Wants to make that cowboy his flesh vessel, and then Sam will be Lucifer's vessel, and they'll do a big fight, and the apocalypse may or may not occur depending on who wins that fight.
right? Lucifer wins the fight, full apocalypse. Michael wins the fight, just a lot of loss of life from all of the damage from the fight, but no apocalypse. Sam and Dean are simply the perfect angel outfits for the most powerful angels of all time to have their big match. This is very important. Don't forget this, because our boys certainly won't. It's because they're brothers, and they kind of mirror the Lucifer-Michael dynamic, where their dad cast out and disowned Sam, but Dean never stopped believing in the power of their father. And also because angel compatibility is something that's in your blood. It's genetic. It's the midichlorians or whatever. We saw that with Jimmy Novak, and then his daughter Claire also got to be a Castiel vessel for a little while. We're tracking down Raphael. Dean takes Castiel along on his usual approach to getting information, which is to pretend to be FBI agents deep in an investigation. Me personally, I wouldn't take the angel of the Lord on the lying and scheming parade, but Dean knows best. They do find Raphael's vessel, brain dead and comatose, because archangels just sort of burn you out from the inside, apparently. They just cook your brain and your skull. So that's what Sam and Dean have to look forward to. Raphael is most likely not just going to want to sit and have a chat with the boys, so they're going to need to hold him in place somehow. They're going to build an angel trap. Castiel gets a hold of some holy oil he can use to build said angel trap. He'll light it on fire, make a barrier of holy fire that an angel cannot cross, cannot touch. Making this trap, trapping Raphael within it for information, could very easily end in Castiel's death. But that's worth it to him. He has to find God. He has to understand. He has to stop the apocalypse. There is no sacrifice too large. Dean is appalled because this means Castiel would die a virgin. My man, how and why are you thinking about that? So they go to a brothel. Is that what you call them in modern day times? I played too much Dungeons & Dragons. Castiel ends up going off with a woman named Chastity, and we're going to look at this from Castiel's perspective. That's this whole exercise, right? You're an angel, a real angel of the actual Lord. You meet a woman named Chastity. Because you're an angel, you can feel that this woman is drowning in guilt and abandonment issues. Digging a little deeper, you realize that she blames herself for her father leaving years and years ago when she was a kid. This is deeply relatable to you. You can empathize with this pain, and you wish to soothe it, and you believe that you can, because Chastity's father didn't leave because of her. You can see into her life. You know the truth. He was displeased with his post office job. He was unhappy with his situation. It wasn't her fault at all. All of that blame she's been piling onto her soul, she can unload it. It's not her truth. It is not her burden. You tell her that. She storms off. She's angry. But this is good news. You go to your human companion, your righteous man, the guy you've been sacrificing your whole life for, searching for an explanation. He's an expert in human communication. You ask what you did wrong, and he laughs in your fucking face. You are Castiel, and even your best day is terrible. So Cass is still a virgin, something that didn't bother him even a little bit. This was Dean's hang-up. They summon Raphael through his vessel, and they trap him in holy fire. Raphael is not helpful. He tells them God is dead. And when our boys are like, okay, how did Cass get resurrected then? Idiot. Raphael suggests it was Lucifer, that he resurrected Cass to add Castiel to his collection of fallen angels, which is just rude. Okay? Don't tell your little brother that your dad is dead and that your evil brother is the only one that still loves him. That is tactless. They leave Raphael there, and Dean and Cass bond over their daddy issues, you know, believing in their father even when there's no logical reason for it. Castiel does not think God is dead. He does not think Raphael is correct. He leaves and continues his quest. There's a special gun called the Colt that is probably the only weapon that could kill Lucifer, and Cass finds out that it is in possession of demons and insists over a phone call that he should come meet up with Dean right now. right now, let's go get the fancy gun. And Dean says, wait 4 hours so I can sleep. So Castiel stands on the side of a road and agrees, and just stands exactly right there where he took the phone call for exactly 4 hours until Dean is ready. And after exactly 4 hours, he teleports Dean to his side. He doesn't go to Dean. He brings Dean to him, unaware that in those 4 hours, Dean went on like a fucked up future quest. He had a little vision in the apocalypse future. There was like a cool future Cass who'd long since fallen from grace, and Lucifer, who was wearing an all-white suit, was there. It was a whole thing. Zachariah put Dean there. Zachariah loves ruining Dean's day. Cass wasn't there. It's not relevant to his journey. Moving on. Dean reconnects with Sam. They're a perfect little duo again. They were kind of fighting. I didn't get into that because I'm genuinely not sure Cass even knew about that. I think he just thought Dean was conveniently alone and available for chats and undercover work. And now Sam is back in the picture. So whatever Sam was off doing, he's back. I guess we're a trio now. Whatever. Sam and Dean stumble across the Antichrist. He's 11. His name is Jesse. And the things that he believes are coming true around him as he quickly gains more and more power as the apocalypse draws nearer and nearer. And this is good omens. This is good omens. We have a 1-episode detour into good omens. Castiel tells them, in no uncertain terms, they've got to take out the Antichrist. Boys, we cannot also be dealing with an Antichrist right now. Okay, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are running around. No one knows where God is. The devil is trying to wear your little brother to his big day. You cannot also throw the Antichrist onto my plate. Please. Sam and Dean get weird about it because the Antichrist is a child. So Cass tries to take out the Antichrist himself. And the child turns him into an action figure. Without even meaning to. It's just fully out of fear, impulse, make that thing not scary anymore. Now he's an inanimate object. This guy's days. I'm saying. Jesse, the Antichrist, learns the truth about what he is, puts everything back to normal, including Cass, and then vanishes in hiding until he chooses to be found, which I believe is never. I don't think he ever comes back. At least Cass is a real boy again. I just have to hope that he doesn't remember being plastic. That can't feel good or normal. Okay, so now, can we let Castiel make some progress on his quest? No, he loses Sam and Dean for days. Cannot find them. Eventually tracks them down to where they're being held in mind manipulation, reality warping sitcom prison. The trickster, some presumably freaky fayish entity, is trapping them in various TV tropes and TV shows, making them act out roles in pharmaceutical commercials and medical dramas for his own entertainment. Castiel manages to get in, and just when he's about to get the Winchesters out of the Japanese game show they're stuck in, the trickster has him dissolved into static, and the next time we see him, he's like beaten and bloody with his mouth duct taped shut, so I guess the trickster put him into like criminal minds. Castiel deduces that this thing is not just a trickster. It's not a freaky little fae thing. It is too powerful. Little freaky little fae trickster entities cannot create new realities. This is an archangel, Gabriel. Gabriel, who left heaven a long time ago and started trying on new names and personas because he just couldn't stand his family fighting, but he knows there's no way to stop it. So instead of staying in that admittedly quite toxic situation, he left. He knows there's nothing to do, okay? No matter how much Sam and Dean insist, Gabriel's got to know a way out of this. He's got to know a way through. He has to know a solution. He doesn't. He has just accepted that his family sucks, and there's no space for him there. Gabriel does give them Castiel back, fresh out of the episode of CSI he'd been stuck in or whatever. So, Cass, figured out that's Gabriel. That's his big brother that makes fun of him to his face for wanting to find their dad. Absolutely no one believes in this kid. one but me. They keep Gabriel trapped in a ring of holy fire when they leave, though Dean does hit the sprinkler system on the way out, so Gabe won't be there too long. Let's go back to talking about the Colt. The special weapon that can take out Lucifer that Castiel found out was in possession of demons. You remember that? He teleported Dean about it? Okay. The Colt. He's figured out that not only is it had by demons, it is had by a specific demon, a crossroads demon named Crowley. Crowley. I'm not going to say Crowley. I'm going to get it right. His name is Crowley. Crowley's a charming old chap who's making deals on corners by kissing desperate folks and getting them to sell their souls for little boons. Sam and Dean do get the Colt from Crowley because Crowley actually does not want Lucifer to take ultimate power. At the end of the day, Lucifer's still an angel. What good is Lucifer winning actually going to do for demons in the long run? So we're going to add Crowley to the list of allies. Also, I'd forgotten to put Bobby on the list of allies. I'm so sorry, Bobby. I don't mean any disrespect. We've got the Colt. Tomorrow, we kill the devil. Castiel enjoys his last night on Earth by getting into a drinking competition with Ellen, who's a maternal figure for the Winchesters. Ellen and her daughter Jo own the Roadhouse. It's a sort of monster hunter hub. Ellen rules. I don't know who convinced her it was a good idea to try to outdrink an angel, but this is a fun way to have your first meeting with an angel. Allies, though. Ellen and Jo, official allies on the board. Castiel goes with his Winchesters, Ellen and Jo, to the town of Carthage, where he immediately sees hundreds of reapers just waiting, ready for a mass casualty that will require them. Goes off on his own to figure out what it is they're all waiting for, and is immediately trapped in a circle of holy fire, trapped by his big brother, Lucifer. Lucifer thinks Cass should be on his side in all of this. Heaven turned on both of them. They're two peas in a pod. Castiel disagrees because this guy wants to slip on Sam Winchester like a pair of flip-flops. And Cass will die before he helps Lucifer get what he wants. And unfortunately, Lucifer agrees with that sentiment. Not a good sign. Also, Castiel, darling, you have already died for this. Let's be a touch more careful. A demon named Meg waltzes in and announces she's got the Winchesters exactly where she wants them and requests further instruction. Lucifer tells her to leave him alone and gives his pitch to Cass again. Cass doesn't even respond. He's over this. It's Lucifer who leaves to go confront the boys, so Castiel is now stuck in a ring of impassable fire with some demon named Meg he's never met before, making fun of him. No one respects our boy. Castiel has a plan, though, and he is getting a pipe to come loose from behind Meg with his brain powers, and to keep her distracted, he taunts her back. Gives it back to her a little, tells her about Crowley's theories, right? That Lucifer is just using the demons, and that in the end, he's going to take all the demons out, too. That's an angel. He doesn't respect demons. Meg does not get to go to heaven when Lucifer wins. And quite frankly, why would she think that she does? That is the least believable pitch Lucifer could have possibly given them. Castiel gets the pipe free and slams Meg through the holy fire, thus making her a bridge, and he uses her to walk out. Disconcertingly, he can't smite her like he used to be able to smite demons. That disconnect from heaven is not good. Castiel gets back to the Winchesters and whisks them away, just as Lucifer greets the final horseman of the apocalypse who had yet to emerge. Death is now walking on Earth. The Colt didn't work. There are very, very few entities that the Colt could not take care of, and one of them is Lucifer. And Ellen and Jo don't make it out of Carthage. You get an ally, you lose him immediately. Speaking of former allies, Anna! She escaped angel prison after Castiel betrayed her, you remember. Anna has a plan to stop the apocalypse. Lucifer needs a vessel, right? His one true vessel, because the flesh suit he's parading around in right now is decaying. It's falling apart. It just can't handle him. He needs the stronger flesh of Sam Winchester. So what if We kill Sam Winchester and scatter his cells across the entire universe so that Lucifer can't resurrect him after that. Wouldn't that work a treat? Cass says, yeah, it'd probably work, but you're not doing that. I know that guy. That's my guy. Or that's my guy's brother. Cass threatens her life if she steps to Sam, and Anna says, fine. New plan. I'll just make it so Sam was never born. Anna travels back in time to try to take out John and Mary Winchester so they'd never have these meddling kids. Castiel, cut off from heaven as he is, can get himself and his boys back to the 1970s, but he spends the entirety of his stay bedridden and coughing up blood. He misses out on Sam literally dying by being impaled, and the Archangel Michael showing up, possessing John Winchester and then resurrecting Sam. And the good news is that Michael did show up, because Michael sends them all back to the correct year, where Castiel was certainly not up for that task. Michael does also kill Anna. Whoopsie, uh-oh. While possessing John Winchester. Bye, Anna. Sorry about all that. Those horsemen that are running around. If you're not caught up on your Bible lore, spoilers for the book of Revelations, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are war, famine, pestilence, and death. They ride horses and usher in the end times, spreading war and famine and pestilence and death. Castiel wasn't with them when the boys stopped war, but he learns that they bested him by taking his ring. He had a fancy special ring. All of the horsemen have fancy special rings, and those rings are integral to the horsemen having and wielding power. This is important because famine comes to town. At first, they think the town full of people that they found overindulging to death is because of a Cupid, but that starts to seem unlikely because the Cupid that they meet is the jolliest, nakedest, sweetest man in town, and he's been making people fall in love, yes, but not eat each other or decide to be together forever in the eternal afterlife. And then they find a briefcase of human soul. And it's even less likely it's the Cupid because that guy's not toting around human souls. The people here are starving, not just for food, but for whatever they feel that they're lacking, anything they've been addicted to, anything that they've yearned for. Castiel starts cramming down hamburgers like it's his job. He claims it's because of his vessel, Jimmy, that Jimmy likes him. I personally think Castiel just likes hamburgers. I think he's a red meat sort of man, and he's making excuses. He does explain that what famine hungers for is souls. So the souls of those who died from famine's influence will then be consumed by famine. There's a bunch of demons running around, collecting those souls for him. Famine shows up in a black car, like the black steed he rides in Revelations. I get it. I do. I do still think at least one of the horsemen should have been on a horse, just for fun, but they're all driving cars, which I guess makes more sense. And then famine eats the demons that upset him, you know? Eats demons, eats human souls. He'll eat anything, this guy. Hunger has fully stricken the boys. Castiel is shoveling burgers down by the hundreds and being really snarky about it, too.
Well, have you even tried to stop it? I'm an angel. I can stop anytime I want.
Sam is hungry specifically for demon blood. Remember his issues with blood that he had? Yeah. So it's driving him a little bit out of his mind. And he cannot go with on the mish where all the demons are gonna be to stop famine. But there's a job to be done and a ring to retrieve. So Castiel and Dean helpfully chain Sam to a sink, leave him at the motel before going to the diner that famine is camped out at. Castiel goes in alone with the grand plan of cut off his ring finger and call it a day. However, famine has set out a foolproof trap. A vat of raw ground beef. And Cass, consumed by hunger, is powerless but to drop to his knees and start eating it by the fistful. While in a meat-induced fog, Castiel barely hears famine gloating that Dean is so empty and so used to hungering for everything from attention to love to alcohol that even being in famine's direct presence doesn't actually affect him. He is too used to the feeling of wanting. Cass hardly notices Sam bust into the diner, face smeared with infernal blood, tearing half-digested demon souls straight out of famine. Unsouls, whatever demons have. Smoke? It looks like smoke. And a being defined by consumption cannot handle having anything taken away, it seems. Famine dies. They get the ring. Cass is cured of his desire for meat. Cass and Dean chain Sam up in Bobby's panic room so he can sweat out the demon blood withdrawals again. It is always the blood with this kid. Castiel goes back on his finding God quest. You remember how he's trying to find God and people keep needing him for other stuff? And while he's doing that, while he's gone trying to do his own thing for once, Sam and Dean get fully shot and killed by just some guy. Some hunters that are mad at them for being the harbingers of the apocalypse. They go to heaven, which, yay! But Castiel isn't allowed in heaven, so boo. But he can communicate with them while they are in heaven through the radio and the televisions and the happy memories that make up their heavens. That's what heavens is in Supernatural. It's just kind of replaying your best hits forever.
I'm dead. Condolences.
Castiel is actually so down to find a silver lining in the boys being in heaven because now they can track down the angel Joshua, the only person still rumored to talk to God. And maybe through Joshua, they can get an audience with God himself. Joshua relays the message that God is fully aware of the impending apocalypse and would like the Winchesters to back off. There will be no divine intervention. This is not God's problem. Mission failed? Castiel enters a full crisis of faith. He gives the God-seeking necklace back to Dean, who promptly throws it in the garbage. They're having a crisis of faith together. As friends, as colleagues, as narrative foils, as sons who have been irrevocably failed by their fathers. You know how it is. Castiel goes on a bender. He finds a liquor store and he drinks it. And then, while he's, indulging, Sam goddamn Winchester calls his cell phone to ask for help solving a small town with a zealous prophet and a demon problem. She's not even a prophet. She's a false prophet. She's actually the whore of Babylon, controlling hordes of demons to corrupt a whole town and condemn them into the pit. So they've got to take her out. But to take out this specific shovel of Babylon, a specific tree branch must be shoved into her torso by a true servant of heaven. Dean doesn't count. Cass is a poor example of an angel, and Sam, of course, is an abomination. So they have to convince the local pastor to do it. Local pastor fails. Castiel is briefly incapacitated by the weed whacker of Babylon. And Dean is actually the one who ganks her with the tree branch, implying that he is, in fact, a true servant of heaven, which, yeah, that's the righteous man, baby. Have you all forgotten? And then Dean runs away to go on a little tour of all his greatest hits, all his favorite spots, before he succumbs himself to the Archangel Michael. So Cass has to tag along with Sam to drag him back home and tell him not to do that stupid thing, actually. Do not give your body to the Archangel. The angels who art in heaven have a new plan because Dean kept resisting, and they assume he's going to forever. So they resurrect Sam and Dean's half-brother, Adam Milligan. He died earlier in the show. He was never really a character, and he certainly wasn't relevant to Castiel's journey until now. You're following? Half-brother, son of John Winchester, youngest brother, just a guy, newly alive, Adam. Castiel gets protection words etched into the man's bones just in time for Adam to wake up and demand to see Zachariah. Evil angel Zachariah, who promised Adam that if he just becomes Michael's vessel, he'll get to see his mother again, the only member of his family he cares about. These boys' opinions mean nothing to him. He is very down to go vessel mode. Dean, meanwhile, has gone depression mode and is being locked away in the panic room so he doesn't go sacrificing himself to any archangels. He's been too quiet for too long, though. So Cass, goes to check on him, make sure the righteous man is okay, and then bam! Dean has been silently preparing a banishing sigil. Knowing Cass was going to come check on him, he banishes Cass and runs off. Not that he gets very far. Castiel, banished, hears a man loudly praying to the angels broadly on Dean's behalf and shows up to kick the ever-loving shit out of Dean in a dark alley. Castiel lost literally everything to save Dean and keep him away from this destiny. And now Dean is just throwing himself at it. He's just giving up with no thought to what Cass has sacrificed, to his feelings. And then with all of that sort of worked out of his system, Cass returns his righteous man to Sam and Bobby, bloody and unconscious. During those shenanigans, Zachariah found Adam anyway, bone words be damned, by talking to him in a dream, and Adam just giving him all the info he wanted. Because again, Adam's so down to go vessel mode. He's on Team Zachariah here. So Zachariah takes Adam to the fancy waiting room they kept Dean in last season, barely even letting the kid rest before tipping his hand that Adam was never intended to be Michael's vessel. Adam is just bait to get Dean here, because Dean would do anything for family, even family that doesn't care about him at all. So now Castiel has to take his Winchesters to a random warehouse in California that is heavily guarded by angels and get them safely inside so they can get to Adam. How does Cass do this? By being really sexy. He carves an angel banishing sigil into his own chest with a box cutter, hides it, lures all the other angels close to him, and then activates it, banishing all of them and also himself. Castiel wakes up on a fishing boat, very injured and completely powerless, essentially human when it all boils down. The Fishers get him to a hospital where he can call Dean and apologize for assuming Dean was going to sacrifice himself to Michael. But also he's missed quite a bit while he was recovering in the middle of the ocean. Zachariah died, Michael possessed Adam, and Lucifer killed Gabriel, who was defending the Winchester brothers and proclaiming his love for all humanity. So Cass is down 2 brothers, neither of which were very nice to him, but they were brothers all the same, and one of the 2 required archangels for the apocalypse is already wearing a Winchester. So we gotta zoom through the rest of our plan to save the world here. The boys have tracked down Pestilence. Castiel catches a bus to find them sick and passing out and throwing up and dying at Pestilence's feet, though Castiel also quickly succumbs to the presence of illness personified, yet he powers through and cuts off the horseman's finger anyway, securing them his ring. It happens so fast. It's so easy. It's like 10 minutes of one episode. Pestilence is introduced and then defeated. They need the 4th ring. Gabriel left them a message post-mortem, letting them know that the 4 rings form together to create the key to Lucifer's cage. With all 4, they could open the cage, throw Lucifer in, and then lock him away again. Okay, all right, so we need the 4th key. That's Death's. Let's find Death. Easy peasy. It's not easy peasy, actually. But Sam and Dean's cool dad Bobby really quick sells his soul to Crowley for information about Death's whereabouts. Crowley promises to give it back in the end, but also gives Bobby use of his legs back as a freebie, and is also delighted to brag about how he got to kiss Bobby. He took a picture of it. He's showing it off to Sam and Dean that he took a picture of him kissing Bobby. Why is he so excited that he got to kiss Bobby? Dean and Crowley go to find Death, leaving Castiel to bond with Sam and Bobby and deal with the remnants of Pestilence's mess. Pestilence had been infecting people with the Croatoan virus, basically zombie disease. So Sam and Cass and Bobby get to kill some zombies. Cass also talks to Sam about his shiny new plan to save the world. Sam's plan, that is. It is to let Lucifer into his body willingly. He needs a yes. Sam will give him the yes. And then Sam will just overpower him. He'll retain control of the meat suit and then waltz into the pit after they open it with the key. It'll trap him, of course, but it will also contain Lucifer and stop the apocalypse. Cass says the idea isn't terrible. It might even work. Sam will just need to drink so much demon blood to have half a chance of containing Lucifer. It is always blood with this kid. Dean gets the ring from death through sheer sweet talking and charisma, and also promising death that he's going to let Sam jump into the pit. And all of the rings snap together to make a cool fidget spinner looking thing. Cass helps get a bunch of demon blood for Sam. They get him all ready, but it's pointless, just like everything else in Cass's stupid life. Sam gets Lucifer into his body and is immediately overtaken by the Archangel. Obviously. And Lucifer pockets the magic fidget spinner. So they don't even have the key. Lucifer is going to go fight Adam / Michael wearing Adam in a field. They get the location from Chuck, my favorite prophet, and we're all now heading to a random field in Kansas to go try to stop the apocalypse. Dean gets there first and tries to get through to Sam, but don't worry, Cass appears to help buy time.
Hey, ass butt.
He Molotov cocktails the Archangel Michael with holy oil. Lucifer doesn't take it well because no one messes with his brother but him, okay? So he explodes Cass into chunks of meat. Castiel is dead. Again. And then he isn't. Again. He's resurrected by God and dropped back into this same field in Kansas. Angel mojo restored. Fully juiced in a way he has not been all season. He finds himself a severely injured Dean, a fully dead Bobby, and a sealed pit. No Sam, no Lucifer, no Adam, no Michael. All sealed away, thrown into Lucifer's cage. Well, Cass was gone. Cass fixes up Dean and brings Bobby back, but that's really all he can do here. Dean asks if Cass is God, which Cass seems to find very sweet. He isn't, though. He's just Cass. He was supposed to be God in initial drafts of this season, where the show would have ended with season 5. What a world that would have been, huh? New mission, try to bring some peace back to heaven. With Michael gone and the apocalypse not happening, it is sure to be an absolute mess up there. Maybe a little bit of a power vacuum that he could step into. Cass listens to a few last angry remarks from a grieving Dean, and then is off to fulfill his new purpose. And that's season 5. I bet his mission to improve heaven goes really well, and we never see him struggle ever again, right? The devil is gone. The weird blood boy that he kind of just warmed up to isn't out there drinking any more blood. His righteous man is safe. He's an angel again. It is surely all uphill from here. Also, this format is killing me a little because I couldn't take the time to talk about how much I love Ash or how Death gets a minute-long music video as a character intro, or how much I hate Chuck, because if I start making concessions for myself, I'll never stop. The format will be thrown out the window. Just know I'm restraining myself every moment. I'm very strong. Format also makes it seem like I don't like Sam very much, and that's not my fault, okay? Sam's just not the one that Castiel's following around all the time. I'm very strong. Cass fixes heaven and everything is good now. God, I wish. Oh, I wish this for him. No, instead, heaven is split into factions now, each with a leader. Castiel represents the concept of free will, shirking the destiny handed over by their absent father, existing among humanity. Raphael, the archangel they left to smolder in a ring of holy fire last season. You remember Raphael? Raphael represents the tradition and truth of heaven eternal. The angels on Team Raphael want to take out those rebels, Team Castiel, and find a way to make it back to that promised big fight, that Michael v. Lucifer, even if the way there's a little bit roundabout. Hell isn't having that problem. Crowley, that crossroads demon that took Bobby's soul, has just declared himself king of hell. And there's still plenty of Lucifer loyalists, but overall it seems to be going fine for him. But heaven, full-on civil war. Castiel is leading troops in a celestial civil war. He is fighting his siblings. He is watching brothers and sisters die, and they are doing it following his example. And this wasn't even his first choice. In fact, it wasn't even his idea. The idea of heavenly civil war came from Crowley, the king of hell. I bet he doesn't have any ulterior motives here. Crowley meets up with Cass and suggests that God must have brought Castiel back for a reason. And maybe that reason was to lead the revolution in heaven, to bring free will to all the angels. And Crowley believes in Castiel so much that he's going to offer Castiel a loan, a show of good faith. Small loan of 50,000 souls for Cass to power up a big show of force and kind of kick off the Civil War proceedings. Souls is power. That's so important for you to know. Human souls equals power in general. Hell wants all the souls to power up hell and the demons. Heaven wants all the souls to power up heaven and the angels. If you have possession of souls, your power level increases and you win over somebody who does not possess that many souls. Souls is mana, okay, but why is Crowley trying to cause heaven's civil war in the first place? Why is he on Team Cass? What is he doing? Crowley wants to bust into Purgatory. Purgatory is the monster afterlife where vampires and wraiths and shifters go after the Winchesters. Get 'em real good. There are millions of souls in Purgatory, unclaimed for either side in the heaven and hell conflict. And if someone were to possess all of those souls, that's their power level up, up, up. Castiel needs that kind of power to win his war and defeat Raphael. Crowley needs that kind of power to secure his claim on hell and get rid of all them Lucifer loyalists. If Castiel and Crowley can break into Purgatory, they can split those millions of souls 50-50. They both get what they need. Everybody wins. Now, you can't just get into Purgatory. Nobody knows how to get to Purgatory. That's kind of a monsters only secret, since monsters are the only ones who go there. So we have to ask a bunch of monsters. Crowley takes to asking a bunch of monsters in very creative and violent ways. And eventually they realize monsters don't know either, right? If you were to ask a human how to get to heaven, what are they gonna tell you? Are they gonna have a map? No, they're not. So these monsters have no idea how to get to Purgatory either. And don't tell me the map is the Bible. I don't want to hear it. So instead of asking regular monsters, they need to ask the alpha monsters, the alpha vampire, the alpha shifter, the first of these various species. So the alpha vampire is the first ever vampire, alpha shifter is the first ever shifter. They might have a little more knowledge in them. And honestly, a random monster also might know. They might just have that sort of information. They're not as likely to as the alpha monsters, but they might. Humans can be well-read. Why can't a wraith? So Crowley needs to get his hands on as many monsters as possible to try and get, ethically, the information to get to Purgatory. It's not ethical. That was a lie. I'm so sorry. I'll never lie to you again. Castiel could also help with the torturing. He's really good at it, but mostly he's not gonna have time on account of the war. And that's assuming Cass even agrees to this deal, right? Because that's a crazy deal to take. The king of hell, King Demon, wants you on his side of gathering and torturing monsters so that he can also have infinite power just for you to get infinite power? Oh, infinite power would be nice, though. Oh, it would be so good. There's technically other people that Cass could ask for help, right? He has other allies on the board. There's a couple issues with a few of them. Dean, for example, is playing house with an old flame of his named Lisa and also her 10-year-old son, Ben. He's just living domestic with them, raking leaves. And Cass doesn't want to, interrupt that? Ask Dean for even more than he's already given? Bobby's not going to do anything for him. Bobby's in mourning. Chucky's useless, usually. And Sam is in the pit. He's in Lucifer's pit. Well, he doesn't have to be in Lucifer's pit. Castiel does not want to ask his boys for anything more than they've already done to the cause. The Winchesters have bled enough for heaven. He can at least get Sam out of the pit, right? And here's the thing. It's crazy to me that he can get Sam out of the pit. I don't think you're supposed to be allowed to just get a guy out of the pit. It's Lucifer's pit. It was a huge deal that Castiel got Dean out of regular hell back in season 4. That was massive. That was a cosmic event. Everybody was impressed and confused. So now he can just wander into Lucifer's cage, grab Sam Winchester, throw him over his angel shoulder, and march on out? He doesn't do a perfect job. We'll get into that later. But he does get Sam out of the pit. Not to ask him for any help, and not to explain anything to Sam. He doesn't tell Sam, hey, by the way, got you out of the pit. You're free, you're alive again. He just sort of sets Sam back onto the earth and says nothing. No explanation given. Sam's just walking around. Okay, so if we can't ask the Winchesters for help because we don't want to, and we can't really make another plan with the other angels because they're all looking to him as their leader in this, and showing any sort of doubt, confusion, need for help could also be seen as a weakness to be exploited. He has very few options if he actually wants to win the war. Cass takes Crowley's deal. He thinks he's smart enough to avoid getting tricked by Crowley in the end. All right? That's just a stupid demon. And I'm a big, cool angel. Crowley is officially Castiel's main ally in this conflict. Not that Castiel tells anybody that. That's a secret, okay? We can't tell the other angels. They would be appalled. And Crowley, honestly, seems like an all-right king of hell. If we had to rank them, he got rid of most of the torture and replaced it with eternally waiting in line. Because nobody likes waiting in line. But some people do like being tortured. Castiel and Crowley, BFFs, best friends forever. Crowley says, hey, I'm going to go talk to your Winchester boys and get them to get me monsters for the purgatory thing. And Castiel says, absolutely you will not do that. You will not do that. I'm on your side here with no other options because I said I wasn't going to ask them for help. I'm not getting them involved. Dean is a father now. And Sam is, I don't know what Sam is doing, honestly. But he's alive again, and we're going to let him live peacefully if he so chooses. You will find a different monster hunter. There has to be other monster hunters. We know there's other monster hunters. We've met them before. Crowley says, fine, I'll get another monster hunter. And he brings the Winchester boys' grandfather back to life. Pulls him down from heaven. Samuel Campbell is his name. Sam Winchester was named after him, so there's a Sam and a Samuel on the board this season. I'm so sorry. Brings Samuel Campbell down from heaven and says, fine, this is my monster hunter then. And makes Samuel hunt a bunch of monsters and bring them to him. Cass doesn't really give a shit about that. That's not one of his boys. Just because that guy's related to his boys, that doesn't make him one of the boys. Otherwise, he would have cared a lot more about Adam last season. And he didn't care about Adam at all. The Heaven War begins, and Cass takes up arms. And he does so for a full year post-deal with Crowley, post-raising of Sam. Full year. It takes up a lot of his attention. It takes up all of his patience. So, you know what? Sue him. That he doesn't really care when Sam Winchester starts praying to him a couple of weeks into the whole mess. Castiel had just found himself the face of violent conflict, existing as a wavelength again, as pure angelic grace. He can't look at Sam Winchester right now and deal with Sam Winchester problems. It's not the first time Sam prays to him, not the 10th, not the 100th. Ally or no, Cass is doing things. All right, he already brought the guy back from the dead. He already kept the king of hell from making that guy work for him. Is that not enough for him? I know he doesn't know Cass did those things for him. But is that not enough for him? But a year in, he gets a prayer from Dean. Dean Winchester praying to Castiel about something that sounds a lot like the effects of the Staff of Moses, one of many angelic artifacts that have recently vanished from heaven's vaults, so to speak. So, yeah, Cass can show up for him. I mean, for that. Cass can show up for that. Cass can put on his flesh vessel and make a house call for that. Take a quick breather from war.
Dean and I do share a more profound bond. I wasn't gonna mention it.
Guess.
It is the staff of Moses being used to kill off cops in a small town in ways that mirror the biblical plagues. It's being wielded by a child, or at least part of it is being wielded by a child, because it appears whoever sold it to the kid sawed the staff of Moses into pieces first so that they could presumably sell bits of it to multiple people. And yes, sold it. The child sold his soul to an angel in exchange for the ability to cast his vengeance on the local police for them enacting violence upon his brother. It's a weird theme for the episode. But that kid doesn't know which angel it was. The angel never said. Not a problem. Castiel can easily figure out which angel it was, as when you sell your soul, that leaves a physical claim, a mark on the soul that can be read. Now, is it going to hurt the kid very badly for Castiel to grab his soul and read that mark? Yeah, maybe. There's a war going on, and Cass needs to know who's going around pawning off stolen angelic weapons. The mark on the soul lets him know that it's Balthazar, an angel that Castiel had considered a dear friend and a close ally, and also an angel that Castiel thought died in the recent conflict. Balthazar is alive in a mansion Castiel heads off to. It leaves the Winchesters outside so they can be on the lookout for Raphael's forces, because Raphael is also definitely after Balthazar if he is selling angelic weapons and therefore has a stash of angelic weapons. Balthazar is there in that mansion, alive, and confirms that, yeah, he's buying up human souls with weapons he stole from heaven. But he's only doing it because Castiel showed him anything is possible. So he's doing anything and everything, mostly things that the Bible warns against, or things that do not appear in the good book.
This morning, I had a menage what's French for 12?
Balthazar does seem genuinely sorry that Castiel had to mourn him, that he hurt his friend in this way. But when Raphael's forces show up, that guilt doesn't stop him from teleporting away to save his own skin. It's like Balthazar comes back with a special crystal that turns guys into salt. You know, like from in the Bible. And he turns Raphael's vessel into salt. And it's not easy to find a vessel that can contain an archangel, if we learned anything from last season. So Balthazar just bought them all a significant amount of time without Raphael, as that guy goes meat shopping. Balthazar saves Castiel's life from Raphael, so when Dean starts threatening to leave Balthazar trapped in a circle of holy fire forever, Castiel instead lets Balthazar go. All debts settled, even score. Also, Balthazar does release that kid's soul that he's sold the staff of Moses to. He keeps every other soul that he bought, but one's better than none, I guess. Balthazar an ally? I'm gonna go yes. The mutual life-saving does imply yes. Also, God, yeah, Dean's hunting again. Dean and Sam are back together, a dynamic duo, hunting monsters and following up on supernatural cases again. Cass wasn't there when they did all of that. And Sam was a little bit weird on that mission as well. He was just a little bit, angry and apathetic. I don't think Cass was picking up on much of that. There was too much else going on. Also, the war. Back to war for a little bit. And then Dean is praying again, saying he thinks they might be facing another angelic weapon, Gabriel's Horn of Truth. Castiel does some quick checks, and it's not the Horn of Truth. There's no holy weapons here, but he can't go back to his war without Dean yelling at him for not prioritizing Dean's problems right now. For example, Sam is being weird. Doesn't Cass care? Doesn't Cass care a lot about that? Isn't Cass worried that Lucifer is still in Sam and walking around? Cass is not worried about that. Not at all. He would absolutely have been able to tell if Lucifer was in there, and also he knows that he didn't pick Lucifer out with him. But Dean's really freaking out, so Cass does agree to make some inquiries about what happened to Sam in between fighting for the freedom of every angel. Cass, in fact, gets to help very soon, because Dean summons him to look over a beaten and bloody Sam. Dean beat him up. He doesn't explain that part to Cass. He just presents him with a bleeding giant of a man. And after some quick diagnostics, it's clear Sam Winchester does not currently have a soul. Cass left it behind in hell. He didn't mean to leave it behind in hell. It was fully an accident. And he's certainly not going to tell the boys that he grabbed Sam out of hell and accidentally left his soul behind. Listen, it's hard to take guys out of hell, okay? Even from a normal place. We should all be impressed that Dean got brought out as normal as he did. Sam was in the cage. He was in the pit. So we left his soul behind. The boys have also been in contact with their grandfather, Samuel Campbell. They're helping him with his monster hunting for Crowley. And they make Cass check that he has a soul. And he does. Cass is kind of just a soul grabber this season. That's his main function. Maybe Crowley's just better at resurrection. It's kind of insane that we never see him bragging to Cass that he did a better job. Probably happens off screen. Crowley does a lie to the Winchesters, and he tells them that he's the one who raised Sam from the dead with his brand new King of Hell powers, and he left Sam's soul behind on purpose so he could make the Winchesters work for him to help him gain control over monster afterlife. And if they don't help him, he'll destroy Sam's soul, and if they help good enough, maybe Sam can get his soul back. Cass goes back to war. Sam does a prayer about finding the Ark of the Covenant. So Cass appears only to find that Sam pulled him from war to do a lie. He called Cass here specifically to threaten his life and demand Cass help them find Crowley. They want to kill the King of Hell and get Sam's soul back too. Castiel can't locate Crowley. Oh no. So instead, the boys ask their grandfather Samuel for help, and they make Cass leave so they can have a family chat. Yeah, it's fine, guys. Cass doesn't have anything else to do. Just make him go sit on the couch. He does get to watch very interesting videos about babysitters and pizza men and ponder the nature of human relationships and their physicalities. Dean says they aren't allowed to talk about that.
Why does he keep slapping her rear? Perhaps she's done something wrong.
Anyway, Samuel gives them Crowley's location because Samuel and his fellow hunters have been retrieving all those monsters for Crowley for a while now, and they get to bring another friend on their Crowley mission, Meg, the demon Meg. The demon that Cass used as a bridge to get out of Holy Fire last season after she mocked him for loving his family or whatever. That Meg. She's a Lucifer loyalist, so she wants Crowley gone as well. Cass isn't stoked, if you can imagine, especially because she keeps taunting him and staring at him. Also, some of his allies are in conflict with each other, you could say. He's in a pretty precarious spot. So Cass tries to convince Dean they shouldn't get Sam's soul back anyway. There are legitimate concerns. Sam's soul has been locked in the pit with Lucifer and Michael with nothing else to do for a full year. They have probably just been torturing the soul, tormenting the soul, destroying the soul in whatever way they can. Putting it back in Sam could kill the boy. Or worse, it doesn't kill the boy, and he has to live with a soul that is that damaged inside of him. He really tries to tell Dean this might not be a good idea, obviously because it might really not be a good idea, but also because Cass doesn't want them to go through with this trying to hunt down and kill Crowley thing. He's in a very difficult spot. But Dean does not let that slide. His little brother needs his soul, and Cass gives in immediately. Also, I gotta say, Sam not having a soul is, like, barely a problem. Like, it is a problem, but not as much as I feel like it should be. He's a little more brutal, and he doesn't really have feelings, and overall doesn't really care about anyone. He's putting his brother into more danger, more recklessly, but he's still monster hunting like always. He's not just tormenting civilians. He still has a moral compass. I just feel like they could have gone a lot harder with it, and instead he just sucks a little. So you don't need his soul back that badly. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, this season's not very good. Castiel takes his boys and the Demon Brigade over here to Crowley's house, home base, building he's been holding and torturing monsters in. It is unfortunately guarded by hellhounds, very dangerous invisible dogs. Meg, Demon Meg, tries to leave her vessel for safety, but the wards on the place won't let her, which is great news, because she's the only one that can see the Hellhounds, and therefore has any chance to take out the Hellhounds, being a demon and all. You can't just use any weapon against a Hellhound. Most things don't work at all. You need things like the special demon knife that Sam has, which Meg will not take to use because Sam needs that knife to use against Crowley. She can't just take it, but there is somebody here in possession of a very special blade that she could use against Hellhounds. The Angel Blade. Castiel's special angel blade that he keeps on him at all times. And instead of asking for it and asking if she can use it, Meg kisses Castiel and sticks her hand in his trench coat to find it. And instead of getting mad about that, Castiel spins her around and kisses her back, just like he saw in those videos he's not allowed to talk about. And that's what being an ally to the cause is all about, baby. Meg keeps the Angel Blade, Cass and his Winchesters go to find Crowley. Unfortunately, Samuel Campbell is waiting with an angel banishing sigil at the ready, and Castiel is banished. Ugh! It's actually fine. That's great news, because that means Castiel can grab a random bag of bones and pop back in and say, "These are Crowley's bones. I found them. He didn't hide them good at all, and I'm going to burn them and kill Crowley forever." Ah! And he kills Crowley. It's a show. It's a big ruse so that the Winchesters think he killed Crowley. They don't need to worry about what Crowley's doing anymore. We don't need to worry about him at all. We don't need to hunt him down or stop what he's doing or think about him even a little bit or worry that maybe him and Cass are on the same side. Obviously they're not. Cass just killed that guy. Castiel admits to his boys that the Heaven War is going pretty bad. And then he goes and destroys Crowley's monster prison and all of the monsters therein. And then goes back to war. And while he's at war, Dean puts Sam's soul back in Sam's body. They do get Sam's soul. They get Death to do it. You remember Death from last season? Sam doesn't want his soul back. He kind of likes not having a soul. But in his soulless state, he almost kills Bobby. It's a whole thing. So he needs his soul back. They do all that without Cass, because Cass would have told them not to do that. So when Cass gets summoned to look at comatose Sam and feel up his tormented soul, he does then remind Dean that he said this was a bad idea. And it's probably still going to kill Sam in the end. But all he was brought for was to check that Sam's soul was there. Nobody wants to hear Castiel's opinions. Soul touching complete. He leaves, goes back to war, until Sam prays to him. He prays to Castiel. He's awake. He's okay. He's got a soul. Cass goes for a hug, and Sam rebuffs him. He won't hug him. It's kind of devastating. And then Cass tells Sam he's so surprised to see Sam alive, that having his soul put back in his body should have rightly killed the boy. And Sam gets all choked up and confused. Of course, Dean couldn't have just not listened to Cass and brought Sam back. No. He had to not listen to Cass, bring Sam back, and then do a lie. They had to bring Sam back without his memories of his time in hell or the memories of the last year of him walking around soulless so that he didn't ask questions, so that he was not destroyed by the damage and the trauma of that full year and a half spent in hell. So they just told him that he'd been fully gone for a year and a half. Cass pulled him out of hell like he pulled Dean out way back when, and Sam just got lucky and didn't remember anything. And like Cass did pull Sam out of hell, but they don't even know that yet. So now Cass has to explain that Dean did a lie, but he also can't explain the whole story because nobody needs to know that yet, maybe ever. All right, so we need to get all those heaven weapons back in Castiel's hands. The heaven weapons keep causing problems or keep being a potential for problems. We gotta get that out of here. But if Raphael is watching, he will stop Castiel from getting those weapons. And even worse, Raphael will take the weapons for himself. So how do we distract Raphael? We have Balthazar send Sam and Dean to a bizarro alternate universe in which they are actors Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. It's a whole thing. Misha Collins dies, but it works. Cass gets all the weapons. So don't worry, that whole recurring plot thread, that thing that powered so many episodes in a row, is no longer viable. We weren't using it or anything. You know, did the weapons at least come up later and they materially help Cass later on? No. Of course they don't. Guys, I think this season might not be very good. Hey, do you remember when Crowley gave Castiel that small loan of 50,000 souls? Because Castiel has to pay that loan back, and he does not have the souls to spare. He kind of needs everything that he has just to maintain this stalemate, difficult position that he's in. So, he and Balthazar hatch a scheme where they will create those extra souls, easy peasy, by stopping the Titanic from sinking in 1912. Think of how many more descendants there will be. How many more humans will be walking around on Earth if only that one boat didn't sink? At least 50,000 more souls. I just think it would have been way more fun to do Pompeii. And it was so much longer ago. You get so many more souls because of all the descendants, right? Anyway, they stop the Titanic from sinking. The butterfly effect of it changes a few more things, all small things, like Joe and Ellen are still alive, and Ellen's married to Bobby, and Bobby's life might finally be passable, might even be good. It's not what Cass was going for. That was an accident. It doesn't last anyway. Atropos, one of the fates, the three fates, actual fate personified. Is that not a god equivalent? Whatever. Atropos is all mad because the Titanic was supposed to sink. That was fated. And if Castiel and Balthazar don't go back and resink that boat, she's going to kill Sam and Dean. So Castiel's options are 1, pay his soul loan back and progress in the Heaven War and stay on the King of Hell's good side, or 2, save his boys. You know exactly what Castiel picks. Balthazar resinks the boat. Castiel does his best to convince the boys that Balthazar did that whole weird thing on his own just because he hated James Cameron's Titanic 1997. And now Bobby's life fully sucks again. No wife, no daughter. Because you know what? It's no fair if only Castiel's life sucks every single day. We gotta spread some of that around. So you remember how Crowley is asking a bunch of monsters how to get into purgatory, and specifically asking all the alpha monsters how to get into purgatory? The first of each respective species. He's continuing to do that, and he's doing it probably even more now that he's pretending to be dead. And the monster's mommy has found out. And she's very upset. Eve is her name, the mother of monsters, the creator of every monster. She begins wandering the earth, making bigger, stronger, cooler monsters as revenge for the torture and slaughter of all her firstborns. Dean and Sam wanna this lady, so they of course go to their favorite encyclopedia for some information on as to how. Cass is a little busy, you know, with the war, so he sends his lieutenant Rachel to let them know he's on his way. Rachel does not like the boys. She's not impressed with how often they pull Cass away from his angel job, and I'm gonna be so honest, if I'm Rachel, if I'm following this guy in the angel war, I wouldn't like the boys either. Leave my boss alone! We need him! Whatever. Cass eventually shows up and helps them. He has to send them back to 1861 so they can get Phoenix ashes. Why not? At least Dean's happy. He gets to dress up as a cowboy. Phoenix ashes are the only thing that can take out Eve. So that they need the Phoenix ashes so they can come back, and then they can take out Eve with the Phoenix ashes from cowboy times. Because it's so far back in the past, Cass can only give them 24 hours before he has to take them back. And if they're there any longer than 24 hours, he won't be able to get them back at all. He doesn't have that kind of power. So of course, Lieutenant Rachel starts to catch on to what Cass is doing and who Cass is working with and what humans Cass's priorities lie with. And of course, she realizes this may be deeply detrimental to the war effort. And of course, she tries to take Cass out in a heinous betrayal, injuring him terribly in a struggle that ends with her on the ground. Cass takes out his own lieutenant as she tries to betray him. So now he's super wounded, and he doesn't have enough power to reach back to 1861 and grab the boys, unless he grabs Bobby's soul and kind of siphons some of the juice. It's all he's doing this season is touching souls. He gets the boys. They get their Phoenix ash. Yeah, everything's fine. Crowley really wants to get his hands on Eve to ask her about purgatory, because if anyone is likely to know, It's Monster Mommy herself. It's Eve. So Castiel is 100% on board with finding Eve, and then hopefully you can just, like, squirrel her away, get her back to monster prison. The gang does find Eve. They find a town where everyone is turning into monsters and then dying shortly after because of Eve's experimentation phase, I suppose. And they defeat Eve through the power of rage bait. Dean taunts her until she bites him, not knowing that he drank Phoenix ash dissolved into whiskey earlier that night for exactly this purpose, and she dies. And before she dies, Eve tells the boys that Crowley is still alive. They're going to start to go after Crowley. They're going to start to ask questions. That's not good for Castiel. And now Crowley's going to be mad because he couldn't bring Eve back alive. Crowley is mad. He is. Cass goes to meet with him. Crowley excitedly shows him how many eggs Eve is full of. He's been dissecting her for science. Okay? And in his rage, Crowley insists that Castiel doesn't see the Winchesters anymore. Yeah, okay. I bet he'll do that. And then he also asks Castiel to kill the Winchesters. Take them off the board for good. Yeah, man. It does sound like something Cass will do. Castiel doesn't even pretend to consider that. He just says no. And then he tells Crowley that he's ready to tear this whole operation down if that demon even dares to touch Sam or Dean. So his main ally wants his special boys dead. His special boys want his main ally dead, and nobody is fully on Team Cass. And then it gets worse when Castiel slips up while talking to the boys and accidentally reveals he's been spying on them. Because, yeah, okay, he's been spying on them to make sure they aren't suspicious of him and his motives and who he's working with. So now they know he's been watching them and doing some amount of lies, and they're suspicious of him and his motives and who he's working with. And it doesn't take that much thinking for them to realize that he's working with Crowley, because how did he accidentally burn the wrong bones earlier? Why has he been so weird and secretive? His boys confront him and trap him in a ring of holy fire. His boys. The boys he's doing all of this for in the first place, really. He tells them, yeah, okay, yes, he's working with Crowley. But it's only because he has to. He's doing this for them. He's doing this for the safety of the entire world. If he loses, Raphael's going to restart the apocalypse process and everything is going to end. This is for them. This is for humanity. Look. He even brought Sam back. He finally tells them he brought Sam back to life and that he did not mean to leave Sam's soul behind. He really didn't. He was trying to help. Dean says that Castiel is a brother to him and then demands, Cass, stop this. Stop working with Crowley. Start trusting the Winchesters. Stop doing this weird purgatory plan. Castiel reminds Dean that Dean is just a man. And at the end of the day, a man can't stop an angel. Not that Dean won't try if he has to, because, again, nobody's really on Team Castiel. Cass pleads to God for anything, for a sign that he's on the right path, that he's doing the right thing, and he receives nothing. Sam and Dean tattle to Balthazar about Castiel's deal with Crowley. Castiel's last real friend in this, when you think about it. Balthazar also asks Castiel to stop, but he has a little bit of a different reason. He warns that so many souls, so much power, might literally tear Cass apart. He could explode, and that explosion could cause untold damage, as though, what? As though that's not worth it? As though the slim chance that Cass can't handle it is worth losing the entire fight for angelic freedom, for taking down Raphael? Castiel has faced worse odds. He is going to do this. Crowley finds a loophole around Castiel's demands that he not touch Sam or Dean, and instead Crowley takes Lisa and Ben, the woman and child that Dean spent a year living with, the people who represent the life and family and peace and safety that Dean yearns for every day, and the boys save them, of course, but Lisa and Ben are not unscathed. Castiel visits in the hospital, he heals them up properly, and then, at Dean's request, erases their memories, so they forget they ever knew Dean Winchester. They have no recollection of him at all. It's an apology for all the fights they've been getting into, in a way, giving this to Dean. Lisa and Ben will be much safer now, even though Dean is so upset about it. Castiel finally finds somebody who's a true expert on purgatory. Her name's Eleanor. She's some kind of ancient purgatory monster. They never say what kind. It really doesn't matter. It's not hard to get what they need from her when he and Crowley combine forces of asking. She dies so shortly after, but has just enough time to give the Winchesters the same recipe for opening purgatory that she gave King Demon and Head Angel over here. You need virgin blood, you need the blood of a purgatory native, and you need a special ritual chant that I guess only she knew. Castiel's precarious position has gotten more dangerous by the moment. Crowley's not a stable option anymore. He is openly going after the Winchesters in any way that he thinks Castiel won't directly retaliate about. The Winchesters are going after Crowley and Castiel. They don't want the souls released from purgatory, and Castiel needs those. He needs the souls. He can't have the Winchesters hurt, so he develops a plan. Castiel tears down the wall in Sam's brain, the one that was keeping him sane and stable, filling Sam's head with so many memories of hell that he can't physically take it. Sam goes comatose. Castiel promises Dean that when this is all over, he's gonna come back and fix Sam, okay? He doesn't actually want Sam tormented eternally. He just needs to end the war, and Dean can't be meddling. And with Sam out of commission like this, Dean is going to be so worried that he'll be too busy to stop what Cass is doing. Both Winchesters taken care of. Now, on to Crowley. Crowley cannot be trusted with half the souls in purgatory. Castiel has no idea what he's actually going to use that power for, and he has demonstrated such a hatred for the Winchesters. There's no way to guarantee that his boys will be safe if Crowley ends up with that kind of power. So, Castiel just tells him straight up that Crowley just not going to get anything anymore. Cass is going to open the door to purgatory by himself, and Crowley's not going to get a single soul. Obviously, Crowley doesn't like that, but that doesn't matter. Castiel can handle whatever he does to retaliate. He's just a demon. Cass is an angel. And then he learns that Dean is heading to Crowley's secret hideout. Castiel didn't tell him where it is. Crowley certainly didn't tell him where it is. And there's only one other person who both knows the location and talks to Dean. Castiel's last true friend in this. Balthazar. Sam's not his ally. He just subjected Sam to eternal brain torture prison. Dean's not his ally. He just subjected his little brother to eternal brain torture prison. Bobby's not his ally. You don't get Bobby if you don't have Sam and Dean, quite frankly. Crowley's not his ally, because fuck that guy. Meg's not his ally. That's a demon. Chuck's not his ally. Where has that guy been this season? Not helping. It's just Balthazar. And Balthazar betrayed him. Balthazar went behind his back to tip off Dean and try to stop Castiel from opening purgatory. Balthazar. Hedonistic, slimy, smug, sarcastic, human-loving Balthazar. Balthazar who would only benefit from Cass winning the war, from Raphael getting off the board, from heaven being restored. Cass tells Balthazar that he feels isolated and abandoned and left in an impossible situation. And this traitor, this impossible liar, tells Cass, at least they'll always have each other. At least Cass will always have him. Castiel kills him. He doesn't need any more betrayal, and he mourned Balthazar a long time ago anyway. Crowley teams up with Raphael. Typical. Of course Raphael would want in on this if Crowley promised him half of the souls. Castiel lies, gives them the wrong blood for the ritual, and goes to conduct his own in private, tearing open purgatory all by himself and slurping in so many souls, millions and millions of monster souls. Filled with an unknowable, unthinkable amount of power, Castiel reveals himself and his newfound gifts to all of his enemies. To Raphael, Crowley, Sam and Dean are there as well, says Bobby. Good. They can all watch as he lets Crowley flee. Crowley could be useful in the future. A helpful contact, a useful worm. It's good to have the king of hell in your debt. Raphael, though, he's had enough of Raphael. And just like Lucifer once did to him, Castiel explodes Raphael into chunks of meat. No god resurrects Raphael. Of course they don't. Because there is no god but the new god, Castiel. Castiel, more powerful than anything. He can win the war. He can do whatever he wants. And everybody else just needs to get out of the way. And that's season 6. Yeah, he was apparently the antagonist to this season. All right. Castiel has a very simple mission in his new role as God, and it is to fix everything. All of it. There's a lot of things wrong with the world, a lot of things that Cass wishes that his dad would have fixed, but he didn't, and that's okay. New God's gonna do it. Some of the things Castiel does as new God, he kills all of Raphael's supporters, every single one of them. He murders 200 homophobic pastors, specifically homophobic pastors. He changes a stained glass window of Jesus in a church into a stained glass window of Castiel, makes art of himself. He disbands the KKK, takes out a bunch of new age motivational speakers he doesn't agree with, and he brings sight back to a blind man. That's a classic. Unfortunately, as he's doing all his miracles, Castiel appears to be slowly melting, sort of in the way that Lucifer was back in season 5 when there was just too much power locked inside of that vessel that wasn't made for it. And there are things, body horror style, trying to claw their way out of Castiel's torso, demanding to be released. It's almost like swallowing thousands or millions of monster souls may come with adverse side effects. He ate some leviathans on accident. The original beasts, older than man, the reason that God created purgatory in the first place. He had to put those terrible guys somewhere, and if Cass lets them out of where they are currently locked inside of his meat, they're gonna rampage all over the earth. The Winchesters bind death into their service so that Castiel can't kill them for being annoying. And Death has a lot to say about how Castiel isn't God and can't handle all that power. Sam and Dean bind Death so that Cass can't kill them for being annoying, but they also bind Death to kill Castiel so that they can order Death to kill Castiel. Castiel's boys, tying up Death incarnate, going so far out of their way to subvert the natural order just to take out Castiel, who is just trying his best. He's fixing things. He's better than his father. He's helping. He's helping. He's in control. It's possible he's not in control. Castiel accidentally slaughters an entire building of political lackeys for a senator he doesn't like. Sort of blacks out and bodies everywhere. Sam prays, asking Castiel to please end this. Please, we have a way to fix this. We can put everything back. Come here. We're going to put everything back. Castiel has unbound Death from their service. Death won't kill him, so yeah, let's fix this for real. Let's fix it for real. So Cass appears to them, asking for their help. Allies again? Are we friends again? We just can't stay mad at Cass, and Cass can't stay mad at them. Not really. So he goes for their help, at the very least, so he can apologize before he's destroyed by the things that he has done. He needs to apologize for what he's done to Sam, for tearing down that brain wall. Sam is still dealing with that. The things that he said to Dean. Death's way to help without killing Castiel, is to recreate the circumstances in which they can open a door to purgatory again, and Cass can send everything back to whence it came. Death has to create another eclipse. Easy peasy. Death can do whatever he wants, I guess. I don't think that's really within the purview of life and death, but that's fine. Bobby opens the door to purgatory, and Castiel releases all the souls, giving all that power right back. It hurts him very, very badly, and for a while, he looks totally gone, but he's alive, and he's free. His vessel heals from all of that melting that it was doing, and Dean and Bobby are still there to hear his further apologies. Castiel promises to redeem himself somehow, to make up for all his mistakes and get back into their good graces, to prove that he cares about them and he's their friend. And then the Leviathans. They didn't go back to purgatory with all the other monsters. They didn't like it there. They stayed in Cass, and they overtake him painfully. They remove the Castiel from the vessel, leaving only Leviathan. So, Castiel isn't in this season much. The Leviathans march his flesh suit into a lake and let it dissolve, explode, and he dies? I think this counts as a death. He's gone. And yet, he walks back out of the water, resurrected, unburdened by Leviathans, and also unburdened by any memories at all. He has no idea who he is, what he is. He wanders around in the dark, naked and alone. The clothes all got left in the lake, until he's discovered by a woman named Daphne. She takes him in, believing it to be the will of God that led her to him, names him Emmanuel, and then she marries him? He doesn't have legal documentation or any proof he exists at all, so I cannot imagine it's a legally binding marriage. Also, they've known each other max a few months. Don't worry about it, all right? We're Emmanuel now. What's Daphne's deal, though? Huh? She lives in a nice big house. She seems pretty normal and well-adjusted, and she just picks a naked guy out of the woods and marries him about it? Emmanuel Allen is a faith healer, helping anyone who seeks him out by providing real, actual miracle healing. He has a good life, and he's happy with it. One day, he comes back to his beautiful home and his beautiful wife to find a handsome stranger killing a demon right on his front step. He knows it's a demon because he can see demons' true faces. He doesn't just think there's a regular random murder happening in front of his house. The demon was looking for Emmanuel, and in the process tied up Emmanuel's beautiful wife, Daphne. The demon wanted Emmanuel for his boss, Crowley. The handsome stranger is named Dean Winchester, and he's asking for Emmanuel's help healing his brother. His brother Sam is very sick, hallucinating the devil, and unable to regularly function. Dean is very angry at some guy named Castiel, who he blames for Sam's condition. Dean is pretty sure Castiel is dead, and Emmanuel gets the vibe that Dean is the one who killed that guy. But either way, Emmanuel agrees to go with Dean, and Dean brings him a demon? He knows it's a demon. That's a demon. But Dean just says, this is Meg, and she's a friend who's going to come with us. Okay. Meg's fun, though. Emmanuel likes Meg. The trio goes to the hospital where Sam is locked up, and they find the whole thing guarded by demons. In an attempt to get through them, Meg tells Emmanuel that he's an angel, a real actual angel who's best friends with Dean and knows Meg, who is the Castiel Dean is so furious with. And she tells him that he could just go smite all those demons right now. Not that he knows how. His brain is still all emptied out.
I'm sure it's just like riding a bike.
I don't know how to do that either.
Great news! He just starts bonking demons on the head and smiting them. It really is like riding a bike. And tapping into the muscle memory taps into his memory too. He remembers everything. He remembers everything that he did. He remembers that he doesn't deserve any more chances, that so many lives in heaven and earth were lost because of him. He remembers how complicated and terrible everything is. But we're Castiel again! Dean pops the trunk of his car and brings out Castiel's old trench coat, salvaged from the lake that he died in, carefully folded and stowed away for the day he found the angel again, and we do not have time to unpack that. Fully suited up, they go into the hospital to get Sam. Sam, who is here because of Castiel, hallucinating, suffering, completely broken apart from reality because Castiel tore the wall down in his brain out of spite. He can't put the wall back. He tries. The problem is beyond his ability to fix. So instead, Castiel decides to shift it. He takes in Sam's hallucinations, Sam's soul trauma, the visions of Lucifer that haunt him, and leaves Sam whole and functional and himself less so. Castiel is left behind in the hospital as a patient. They have to let the world still believe that he's dead for his safety, especially in this weakened, weird state. But they leave him a special nurse, Meg Masters. This demon does not have a nursing degree, but she's so pretty, I guess we'll just let her get away with it. Castiel falls into a coma, and Bobby Singer dies while Cass is indisposed. It's genuinely very, very sad. It's a devastating episode. I really liked that guy. Cass is not there. It's not relevant to his journey. Moving on. In updating the board, I don't actually know if I'm allowed to still say the vessel is Jimmy Novak. There's no way Jimmy's still in there, right? How many times can you get a body resurrected by the actual Lord and just not let Jimmy go to heaven and have this just be a simulacrum? No way Jimmy's still in there, right? He just looks like Jimmy? Either way, when Castiel wakes up, he's a bit disconnected. His new outfit of choice is still his trench coat with white hospital scrubs underneath. And he fixates on honeybees and board games and how nice and pretty Meg is. Cass knows who he is and what he is, but he's just happy to be here, really. And he's not even hallucinating Lucifer. He was for a little bit, and then they faded away. Just a little aftertaste of whatever Sam's brain had. Sam and Dean show up, which is great, and they seem to have excavated a tablet containing the real word of God, which is great. Metatron wrote on it himself. Cass can't read it, though. It's not for him. It's for prophets and things. Dean and Meg start arguing and shouting, which is not great. Castiel does not like it. When people shout, he does not like conflict. So Castiel teleports elsewhere where people are not shouting, which, yes, does make the tablet he was holding fall to the ground and break into pieces. But that's not his problem, and he didn't mean to do it. But then Dean comes to find him and plays Sorry, the board game, with him and listens to Cats talk about the kind of bets that angels made in the old days. And it's really great until Dean gets mad again and knocks the game off the table for some reason. And then Cass realizes that downstairs, Sam is talking to angels. Cass knows angels. He goes to say hi, and he knows these angels for sure. Hester and Anais. They're from the war! From Cass's garrison, his side in the war! They seem really mad at Meg, which is weird, because Meg is great. Dean just goes ahead and banishes all angels from the room, which he probably didn't realize Cass was standing in there and was also an angel, so he also got banished and ended up surrounded by large unhappy dogs in Perth, which was complicated. So he called Meg to let her know, and she very helpfully, tells him where they are so that he could teleport right into the car with everybody else, right next to a brand new prophet that the boys found named Kevin Tran. He's the keeper of the word of God, hired on to the cause the very moment that the boys excavated said word. This prophet is 17 and freaking out, but Cass isn't thinking about that. He wants to talk about the dogs that he met in Australia. They were racing dogs, and Dean starts yelling at him to explain the situation, which is rude, because he was explaining something else. But okay, so he does. The other angels, Hester and Anais, who Cass knows from the war, they want to take Kevin to the desert to learn what the word of God says, because that's what you do with prophets. You take them out into the desert and you make them read the tablet. But the boys actually need that word, and therefore they need that Kevin, because the word likely contains information about how to remove the Leviathan problem that we're still having. And Sam tells Cass that he's grateful for him and everything he's done, and that they're going to help him get better. So Cass needs to get better. Everything's good. He doesn't even have to fight anymore. He can just chill out and watch bees. This is peak. While she's out on a little mission, Meg kills some demons that are trying to take her out, some of Crowley's men. But this is a problem, even though it's great that Meg is safe, because an act like that all that energy expenditure makes it possible for Hester and Anais to find where they're hiding, and they do. Hester beats Cass up and is ready to take him out completely, yelling things about how Dean has been corrupting him from the first touch in hell, that Castiel is utterly fallen, but Meg cuts in and Angel blades Hester instead, taking her out of that, problem conflict. And Anais is a lot less bloodthirsty. He's willing to talk out the problem. The angels let Kevin peacefully translate the word of God. They don't even make him go to the desert for it. They let him do it in air conditioning. And Castiel refuses their invitation to be welcomed back into the fold, into the old garrison. He's happy here. He likes where he's at. The word of God makes it clear that the Leviathan can only be killed by the bone of a righteous mortal washed in the 3 bloods of the fallen. And one of those 3 bloods is the blood of a fallen angel. Excellent news. Castiel is right here and is always happy to bleed for the Winchesters. He gives them a vial of his blood and goes off on his own. Meg is laying low too. The team is fractured, waiting for everything to kick off. The boys get the bone of a very pious dead nun. They wash it in Cass' blood, and then the blood of the father of the fallen beasts, which is the alpha vampire that they've been dealing with all season. That has absolutely nothing to do with Cass. I didn't even tell you Dean got bit by a vampire. I don't think Cass knows. It's fine. He's okay. They then need the blood of the ruler of fallen humanity, which would be the king of hell, Crowley. Dean calls Cass for help once and gets super mad when Cass shows up just as he was in the moment. Okay, he was hanging out naked with a lot of bees. So he just went right to Dean, and Dean got upset. So they try not to need him again, but don't they always? Castiel very helpfully brings himself and Meg to the Winchesters without even being asked. He found her for them because he went to Kevin's house, the little prophet. You remember him. And he found some dead angels, the angels that were supposed to be guarding Kevin. The whole garrison is gone, which really interrupted his observations of flowers and things and was clearly the work of Leviathan. And none of that is as important as the way we do animal testing in the cosmetics industry. Castiel just learned about this, and he's very concerned, and then Dean starts shouting. So that's very bad. And then Crowley shows up, which is also very bad, because that guy makes people fight and makes them be loud, and he's even threatening Meg. Perfect Meg! Cass tries to offer Crowley a bag of honey he collected himself, but the demon doesn't want it and starts accusing Castiel of having lost his mind. Makes him want to fight Cass a lot less, at least. Crowley doesn't take the honey, but he does give them a vial of blood for their Leviathan weapon, which is very helpful. And he doesn't take Meg away for torture reasons, instead leaving her with the boys because how attached Castiel seems. And Crowley doesn't want to upset Castiel. He knows they need Castiel to take out Leviathan. This is news to Sam and Dean, who did not think they needed Cass for this, and Cass won't elaborate. He's way too busy traveling the world for the best sandwich ingredients to keep his hunters big and well-fed and growing and strong. They need Castiel because they need to kill the head of the Leviathan, the main guy. They can't just kill any Leviathan. They would have to kill every Leviathan, but if they take out the main, body of the Hydra, as it were, it will at the very least make the rest of them scatter and weaken. The head of the Leviathan has been a politician named Dick Roman all season. Can you believe I have made it this far without needing to talk about Dick Roman? We're on the finale right now. I'm explaining the finale of this season. They've been making Dick jokes all season. Cass just has not been included. Dick Roman is easy enough to find, except they've gone and duplicated the guy, making it impossible for anyone to know which is the real head of the Leviathan, anyone except the angel, who used to have them all tucked up behind his ribs. Cass will be able to tell who they need to go after. I don't even think Cass knows what the Leviathan's plan is. I don't think he knows anything about the world domination human farming plan that they're working on. He doesn't care. He's just so busy with bees. Castiel watches the boys banish the ghost of Bobby Singer, which I believe is the first time he learns that Bobby died, because they just don't tell him things sometimes, and they were mourning, and Castiel was being weird, so it just didn't come up, and then he watches them do a ritual to destroy his ghost. Cass liked that guy. And then they go for Dick Roman to end the Leviathan. Dean and Castiel work together to shove their completed weapon through the bad guy, and he explodes into black goop. It's a very goopy season. The season was very goop-based. Castiel was so chock-a-block full of goop at the very beginning and then mostly avoided all the goop until right here at the end. We're back in the goop! And when Dick Roman explodes into goop, Dean and Cass are taken away. They're teleported alongside the Leviathan to where all monsters go when they die. Purgatory, a dark forest, gray and filled with terrors. Cass is still in his scrubs and trench coat, seeming fully restored, yet very at risk of being torn to pieces by long-dead nightmares. So I guess new mission, escape purgatory, fun! And that's season 7. That is 1/3 of the Castiel seasons. That is part 1 of this 3-part series of Castiel seasons. And I think he's had like 20 good days. And almost all of them are when he had amnesia. Maybe things will get better in purgatory? Man, this is bleak for him, huh? It's okay, Cass. I'm here for you. Even if literally no one else is, I still love you. I'm gonna squish you up and carry you in my pocket, set you in a flower pot, and let you just while away the hours. You're still the only character in Supernatural to me. Can somebody check on Daphne Allen? Her husband is gone, and also a different guy. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, this was part 1 of 3. This will be a 3-video series with each covering 4 Castiel season storylines, and it really only gets worse for the boy. He is the plot's favorite chew toy, and he doesn't even get to relax in filler episodes. Also, happy birthday, Castiel! This is going up on YouTube on September 18th, which is Castiel's birthday! And a Thursday! His birthday's on a Thursday this year. He's the angel of Thursday. I didn't even say that because I don't even think that means anything or that's true, but he's the angel of Thursday. Since he's not a human with a human birthday, his canon birthday is instead the anniversary of his first appearance. I would never be able to do these things without the support of my beautiful patrons, my angels, my flock. I would never abandon you all, okay? But if something were to happen, you all know exactly which of you should step up to take my name and my mantle and sort of take over my position. I don't even have to say it. If it's you, you'll know. We're going to see how far I can make it a one go again. That's my new game with the patron names. Okay. Patrons such as Alcyon Hero, Ulsa Dragon, Autumn Vector, Blardy, Har, Britty, Chatty C, Gwynrick, Catherine, Kazrin, Christopher, Missy May, Automatopoeia, Rainbow O'Neill, Rue, Steph Delacour, Vesper Sinclair, ZC Reese, Zachary Fly, Zebulon, T, Abalab, Abby V, Abby K, Abigaya, Abigail the Baker, Addie, Agimame, Aiden Cassis, the stronger Aiden Sawood, notoriously low roller, Amy E, Ainsel Pixel, Ainsel Geary, AJ Holian, Akadoroku, Albandi Gyoza, Elk, Allison, Alex, allegedly Jen, Allie the Librarian, Alyssa Pearl, Amalia, Amanda Nicole, Amber W, Ams, a name, surname, Anemone, Anastasia, Angelic Knight, Annika Chanchani, Anna Elise, Annie Bonus, Anna Anonymous, Annie Teller, Aoife, Applejacks, Aradia Kelstar, Archie Archer Tang, Argentum Inc., Artemis Nix, Asher Ackman, Ashley Figura, Ashley Peterson, Aston Zadurko, Audrey Mouse, August Adent, Aurelium, Aurora Ender, Avery Little, Aziz, Azula's Tale, Azure, Babity Kate, Bought a Kid, Bailey Wind, Barghest 279, Barto Hawk 764, Basil, B Crime, Do Gay, Beard Acknowledge, Becca B, Beck B, Benny Babe, Benjamin Falter, Bethany Draws Art, Black Rabbit 10, Blake Douglas, Blake Stewart, Blaze, Blue Tomatoes, Blueberry Boy, Bobby Banner, Box of Cherubs, Bree, Brenna, Brian Drake, Bridget Quinlivan, Bracerius, Broken Fork, Bruno, Brianna, Brenna Osborne, Buckets, Bugs in Boots, Burn Notice 2007, Burnt Toast, Caleb, Cam Achu, Cam Sully, Camden Clem, Cammy, Kandorian Wonder, Captain Luppy, Captain Twizzler, Carly Hartle,
Caroline Odin, Cara Ray, Cass Rogers, Cass Carter, Casey Charlton, Casper Hope Tyndall, Cat in a skin suit. Catherine Mullen, Celadon Cerulia, Chaotic Kiwi, Charlie Long, Chelsea Souter. Chelsea Souter! I made it 134 names, okay? That was pretty good. Continuing, Cherubel Hart, Cheryl, Chloe Bailey, Chronic Escapee, Cielo at 10, Clara Caboozle, Clement Slime, Clever Name, Connor, Corey Pup, Corey Cat, Courtney P, Kuste, Cress Moon, Crow Mori, Crystal Pug, Cup of Stee, Dakota L, Damian Miller, Dan, Danny B, Danny Sprague, Daniel, Danielle Tefke, Danny, Dante Rizzuto, Dear Lady Disdain, Decayed Robot in a Green Field, Declan Roof, Deals, Devin Camerlocker, Digimaniac 33, Ditto, Dean Dumbass, Draco Knight, Drake, Dragon, Eden Cassidy, Eduardo, Elijah Jackson, Ellie Bear, Ellis, Ellie, Elysium, Emily, Emily Songer, Emma, Emma S, Emma Thomas, Emmy, Emoji Bones, and Nam. Ender Art, Erica Lynn, Eskel, Evan Kinsella, Evan Linden, Eve, Evil Scrump, Faye Fire, Far Out Wonder, Fenestrating Fungi, Florence Tarnus, Foolery with Nori, Frank, Fraser King, Frej, Fresh, Hex, Flex, Frizzazzle Zoozle, Fudgeman 77, Finch R, Gabe, Gabriel Lervag, Gayhem, Giaminius, Georgie, Gil the Gilded Dragon, Godzilla Food, Good Soft Gay, Good Night Burrito, Gracie No-Nos, Grey Hawk, Green Walker, Gremlin, Gray, Does Things, and Stuff, Grimbilia, Grimbus, Gralnock, Gumbles, Gummy Blade, Gungilf, Hakuna Machete, Hale, Haley Walker, Handsome Penguin, Hannah Bell, Hannah Anderson, Hannah E, Hannah Jeffrey, Hey Pax Legomenon, Harley, Harper Hex, Head Full of Birds, Hart, Helena Young, Heliotrope Fox, Hey, it's Jay, Holly May, Houston Littlejohn, I Will Sing No Requiem, Ian Roberts, I Can Make You Say Whatever I Want, I Dizzle 22, Infinity Girl, Insane in the Brain, Isby, I Ship Genfix, Izzy Valderrama, It's a Secret, JJ, Jawman 02, Jackie, Jacqueline, Eats Rocks, Jaden Alex, Jake Stead, James Quinn, James Summers, Jamie N, Jasmine, Jax on the Box, JTP, Jane, Jeff, Jenny Murray, Jenny Waboom, Jericho, Jessica Storman, Jet, G-Dem, Joe, Jonah Levin, Jordan, Josephine Ryder, Joshua Caliendo, Jubilee, Jubilina Bing Bing, Juliana Backer, Julia Stonky, Kavo Conrad, Collie Rivers, Carissa, Kate Levia, Kathleen, Catherine Hill, Katie Larrabee, Kay, Kayla B, Keats Rowe, Kelsey Rodriguez, Kenny, Kenzie Sorrells, Kirby.jpg, Kevin McNamara, Keverlyn C, Key, Zero, King Cozy, King Panda, Kieran and Frankie Cat, Kitty Large Paws, Cool Cat, Chrissy DeHaas, Kyoki, Kyle Richardson, Kylie, Lady Jessica, Laura, Lauren and Daisy, Lawson, Leaf Lemon, Lee, Legos Jedi, Lemons, Lemon M, Lemon, Leonix, Levi, Lexi Scott, Liam Fahy, Libby, Lilith Mitchener, Lillian, Lily, Lisa Spitalowitz, Lizzie Gale, LJE, Logan, Lord Smeldington, the third, Lou is a shoe, Luca M, Leona Braxton, Lynn May, Maddie, Magic Quill 42, Maya Farnas, Maya Lewis, Malachi Sanguis, Manny S, Mary Riffle, Marianne, Marie, Martha, Mary Mac, Mary Poppins Jellyfish, Mary R, Matt Dam, Matt Mobes, Maveline, Max Roth, Meatball Cat, Meg, Mel, Mia, Micah, Michael Francis, Michael West, Midnight Rose, Michaela Phillips, Mamie, Mindless Nonsense, Minnie's Mayhem, Mira 9404, Mitchum Ditchum, MLD Irish 14, Mo Spooky, Molly McDade, Manev 94, I'm winning, Moon Noodles, Mostly Void Shadows, Moth, Mr. Top Hatter, Murph Wazir, Mute, Nathan Mathewson, Nathan Thompson, Nick C, Nick the Brick. My cat has a whole ball of yarn. This is not safe for kitties. Nikki Zerd, Nicole Danielle Craswell, Nicole Key, Noah, Non-Existent Mountains Theory of Faye, OKCC Art, Alethea, Onyx Claw the Archdruid, Orin T, Orion Constellation, Oski the Bard, Owen Klein, Oswin H, P, Paige Alexander, Papa Midnight, Petal Stripe, Philip Dameron, Fix, Phoenix the Frog, Piper Porter, Pluto, Poblato, Poetic Cinema, Prettiest Bearded Lady, Prophetic Sage, Psych Bunny, Quince Hopkins, Quintanamo Bay,
Razel Burst and Frame, Rat Scratch, Razan, Rebecca Dawn, Red Hoodless, Reed Brody, Ricky, Robin, Roman Landslide, Rookie Baby, Rowan C, Rowan Rose, Rat King, Ruby King Dollar, Sabrina Hawthorne, Sage Angel, Sagely Sapphic, Stam Stapowski, Samantha A, Samantha Fisher, Samara Kingston, Samson, Sarah Short, Sarah Ann, Sarah Greer, Sarah Kitchen, Sarah Sunshine, Sarah! Scam Likely, Scariest Bird, Seabass of the Sea, Sean Ryland, Sarah Vale, Side Source, Silly Juice, Simon Broaches, Simon Says, Site 42, Skylar Grayson, Sluisk, Sophia Thesaurus, Soladolo, Sophia, Sophie Hasha, Space Battery, Spartan Warrior, Spapples, Spooky Noodle, Stand Up Domedy, Steen, Steps of the Palace, Stevie Meyer Whaley, Stevie U, Street Cleaner, Sudini, Summer, I am so sorry, Summer Zarnowski, Sunbell, Summer Solstice, Supercalifragilistic Existential Crisis, Severe E, Sydney Hobson, Silas S. TJ, Taylor Burke, Taylor Gardner, T, Tex the Gentle Giant, That Boy Eats Rats, The Arsonist of Ireland, The Loosiest Fruit, The Panda Hermit, The Plum Satyr, The Robins Wayne, The Silliest Apollo, The Wizard C, The Dog Walker 247, Theodore Lawrence, The Smart Turnip, Thomas Guzzo, Tiffany V, Tim, TJ Dash, Toby Springer, Tommy Peterson, AAA, He, They, Trizadale, Useless Lesbian, Val Holland, Vanessa Johnson, Vanilla Zucker, Vicky Dudley, Victoria Fay, Violent Violet Vi, Via Name, Virgil's Inferno, V Sharp, Vunks, Wes, Wild Red Mutt, William D, William McCafferty, Windermere Peaks, Woody Daniel, Ren Bunce, Ren Crowd, Showtime, Yara Leticia, Yes Chef, Yisne, Ngve Leo, Zachary Vance, Zachary Wayman, Zane, Zeflordicus, and Zawara, as well as every other name you saw scrolling past. That was what? 3 mess-ups that were my fault? 4? I lost count. Pippin really threw me off. I'm just saying, I think I'm a winner. And so are all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. The next upload on this channel will be Once Upon a Time Season 6. If you would like to see the first half of that, it should be up on my Patreon by the time this comes out. And if it's not, beat me with rocks. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. I just don't know how I'm going to stop thinking about Daphne Allen for the rest of this rewatch. Well, rewatch / watch. I only watched through season 11 the first time I watched the show. What's Daphne up to, huh? Does Dean keep tabs on her? Lord knows Castiel won't. Even if he knew how. Also, somehow I'm coming out of this a Megstiel shipper. Meg and Cass aren't endgame to me or anything, but I think they're so fun. I think she's good for him. And then afterwards, they could have a besties / ex dynamic that just is really confusing to everyone around them. The best kind.